on the clock, 5 minutes to go for them. And Andy, I don't know if you've gotten any more intel in the last 2 minutes, but there are so many possibilities now with this Klay Thompson news, depending on what it is.
Well, I mean, both these esteemed colleagues here know that decisions like this are not made in the 11th hour just because you have an injury literally on the day of the draft. The Golden State Warriors weren't selecting a player to immediately upgrade them. Obviously, I think Wiseman can help, but he's not going to be the difference between whether or not they are, in the playoffs or out if everyone comes back healthy. Now, I know without Klay Thompson, that does change the narrative, but I don't think, and we'll wait and see here, but I don't think that the pick would depend on the severity of this injury.
That's interesting. And Brendan, I don't know if you agree with that or not, because to me, the Warriors, thinking of Wiseman in particular, would be thinking about a guy who could be a starter, another one of those serviceable bigs they've had, even if they expect nothing from him really offensively, to get them back into contender status, versus picking a guy who maybe they can develop over the next couple of years if Klay Thompson isn't available. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think Golden State's going to take the best player available, and whoever they take will be able to help them right away. This isn't a developmental situation. I know the Klay Thompson news changes things, but whoever they get, they think is going to help them right away. And whether it's Wiseman or whether it's LaMelo Ball, I think that player is going to have a dramatic impact. I think Wiseman would fit in well. When you look at the fact that he would be playing with Draymond Green, who is arguably the best weak side passer in all of the NBA, just think about how he was hooking up JaVale McGee a couple of years ago for easy dunks. Think about how many times he was catching Iguodala for easy dunks on the weak side. So if you had somebody like Wiseman finishing off those plays, but then giving you rim protection and being able to clean up the glass, that would be big time for Golden State. So I think that if they got Wiseman, he would help them right now and in the future.
All right, let's bring in Chris Webber. Speaking of the Golden State Warriors, the #1 overall pick back in 1993, began his career with the Dubs. Webb, first of all, your reaction to this Klay Thompson story, and again, we don't have all the details, but a lower right leg injury, and the early reports are that it sounds serious.
Well, first of all, you never want to see that, especially with the player that's coming back off of an injury. But, it's really hard to guess until you find out how serious it is. But I tell you what, if it is as serious as some of the rumors out there, you just really feel bad for this team. And, you wonder, is that going to impact their draft pick? Is it going to impact the way that they play, or that they want to change their system? I mean, I don't see how, because anytime you have Klay Thompson, you have one of the best shooters in the game. But you definitely don't like hearing about this, even if it is just a delay in his return.
By the way, Webb, just in, the Warriors have taken James Wiseman with the #2 overall pick after just 3 games at Memphis. A year ago, in terms of mock drafts, he was pretty much the consensus #1 pick, so he dropped all of 1 spot in that year because of his absence on the floor. But there's a whole lot to like in terms of size and mobility and skill, even based on the limited sample size. Webb, I want to go back to you on your experience back in '93 as the #1 pick. I know it's a different scenario as we look at James Wiseman, but different scenario that Anthony Edwards had tonight, because he's not shaking the commissioner's hand. He doesn't get to put on the hat and everything, but take us back to your experience that night. That was as you got traded as well.
Well, yeah, it was special for me, and congratulations to all these guys. But officially, I'm saying this kid Wiseman is going to be, I think he's the one. But congratulations to all these guys. But for me, it was special. I grew up in Detroit. We just played in the Final Four. And right before that, I had one of the worst moments, calling a timeout in my basketball career. And, you got to get right back up and bounce back up. And within 2 months, I'm the #1 pick. So it really showed how good God is. And, the loudest screams I've ever heard that I really remember feeling was them announcing my name in the Palace. And so all the players that came before me from Detroit, whether it was Antoine Jobert, Steve Smith, Derek Coleman, and others, I just felt like, wow, I finally belong, I made it. And it was just awesome being, announced #1 pick of the place. I won 3 state championships and grew up watching my favorite team, the Pistons, play. It was special.
I'm sure you can't believe it. I can't believe it was 27 years ago.
No, you ain't have to remind me about that.
That is amazing.
And we getting old, man.
That is amazing. Andy, Wiseman goes to the Warriors with the number 2 pick. Just 3 games in college, as we mentioned. How sure were scouts about what he can become as an NBA player?
Very sure. By the way, I was right behind Chris when he called that timeout, and his career was unbelievable in college, and it's always been a pleasure to watch him and cover him early on, but I'm dating myself as well. So look, for James Wiseman, as I said at the top, I think if he played more than 3 games, he would have been the number 1 pick, the consensus pick. Even with Minnesota having Karl-Anthony Towns, I think his value, I agree with Chris and Brennan and I think Smitty, that he is going to be potentially the best player. You see Penny Hardaway there, coached him in high school, coached him for that brief time in Memphis. The other thing is, he was criticized a little bit that he could have come back actually in January after his NCAA suspension, decided not to do that, and then work out. Ultimately, it didn't hurt him at all. He ends up being the 2nd player in the draft.
You know, a question I want to go to Chris Webber. Chris, when you look at a situation, which, you know, you're being humble. I know you're the number 1 pick in the 8th grade, so that's the one thing. We all knew that in Detroit. But when you look at a kid like Anthony Edwards go 1, talk about that pressure. But I said, whoever goes number 2, think about this. If you had a lineup with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, if he, you know, hopefully he comes back, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman, how special is it for a young and you'll be playing meaningful basketball?
Steve, but, you know, I've talked to Tim often about, you know, where you get drafted, and it's so important about the right situation. So Tim was drafted with, what, a top 50 player in David Robinson that played him into that position. Well, here, yeah, you know, the weak side passing of. So what's that going to do? He's not going to ever get deserves to because he's around the best shooters. Also, he's in a winning system. Attrition that the you know, he'll get to go into a winning organization, right? So that, Steve, I can't say enough about this. I'm really shocked that just because he played 3 games, but averaged all those points, all those assists, has the body. We call him a center. That she can actually just become a
What's that mean? What are these words you're speaking?
They don't mesh together. This positionless basketball, man.
Exactly. What are all these words you're speaking, power forward? All right, with 3rd pick is in for the Charlotte Hornets, and as expected, given those top 3 players, it is LaMelo Ball, the well-traveled, much hyped talent with significant. A lot of folks think he's the most talented player available in this draft. A lot of folks, frankly, wouldn't touch him with a top 10 pick. But he's going to the Charlotte Hornets, who could use everything. Brendan, what are your thoughts on the fit in Charlotte?
Oh, man, you know I love that. Hey, you know I stay in Charlotte. I'm still here.
I know you do.
What the fan base wants. Listen, they're starving for a star. They're missing the fact that Kemba Walker is no longer there, and this kid can be that star. When you talk about LaMelo Ball, you talk about 6'8", vision, able to play the point guard position, but more importantly, he has that ability to carry your franchise. What was unfortunate was with Kemba Walker, he never.
games in the NBL.
Credit, even though it was
for a young player, you get that experience. The vision is elite.
Is no matter what, when you have vision, But I also look at playing basketball at a high level, and also he's been having scrutiny around him. I mean, when you start to just compare him, he's taller, probably shooting at this age from three. Obviously, mechanics and work on that. But I think the moxie of this young fella is at 6'8", 6'7.5", been able to define guys. And then the one thing I get a chance to watch, and I talk to everybody around it, first, I'm okay with him, and I think it's in Charlotte, they need guys to get the guys.
Vision, that is an elite NBA skill. That's enough to make him the third overall.
Pretty athletic. He'll be right on that defense.
I want to get your thoughts on what a holiday in Milwaukee. I don't know if you heard about off altogether with Bogdan Bogdanovic. NBA and a crazy few days so far. What do you make of everything that's happened already?
They have a chance. I think that when we saw the playoffs last year, I think when you saw with Denver, kind of how they did after growing together after some years, after you saw kind of how the underdogs did, Utah, against teams like the Clippers, I think teams feel like, wait a minute, now's our chance, not necessarily to try to throw all of our chips in and go for a championship, but to put something here in our town that's serious to build on and hopefully in the future. So I see some strategic moves. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in Philly. Will that work? Or I love Devin Booker's game, and I think that he's been the most, not underrated, but the least talked about, the least kind of guy that if you really look at his career, has really been wasted, so to speak, in fans' eyes because no one gets to watch Phoenix. And so I'm glad that maybe this year he'll make the playoffs, that he gets to play with a veteran like Chris Paul after being in an organization that maybe didn't care about winning, if you want to be honest, for so long. And so for me, it's really fun to watch the individual stories mesh with team stories, and then hopefully those fan bases just get excited.
And we haven't even gotten to the resolution in Houston with whatever's going to happen there. James Harden reportedly wants to be traded. Russell Westbrook now reportedly wants to be traded as well. They both carry huge contracts. we'll see how that plays out.
Well, I got one question, Matt. One question.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, Brendan. Y'all saw Harden turn down 50 for 2.
Well, 103
I just felt like laughing.
I thought it was 103, Webb.
No, yeah, but I mean 52 years.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Hey, man, for $103 million, I'll make it work. I'm gonna play with Jackie Moon for $100 million for 2 years, straight up. I'll find a way.
You opening the bear cage?
Yeah, I'll find a way. Whoa,
times have changed when you can turn down 103.
Yeah, crazy offseason.
That's a good position to be in.
That's why it is the best, though, I feel. I'm a big football fan, but there's no sport like basketball because the interchanging parts, how it happens. And you think about it, our off-season at times is just as exciting as some of the hottest parts of the season. So I'm just enjoying it, sitting back. And, again, congratulations to the first 4 picks so far. All of them are deserving. It's really cool to watch these young men, these young kids turn into men and just become superstars. It's awesome.
Webb, great to talk to you. Hope you're having a good short off season and staying safe.
I am. I'm growing my mustache so I
like
can
it.
put
I like
wax
it.
on and do the evil grin pretty soon. So yeah, I'm having a good time. Y'all be cool, man.
I hope to see the full
leave
handlebar
like
next
that.
time.
Leave it just like that. You look like Lamont from Sanford and Son.
Hey, that's old, Brendan, but yeah, that's my man, though. That's my man.
There's no gray in it. That's important.
Yeah. But up here, though, yeah. That's another story.
I see it coming in. It suits you. It's very distinguished.
I can't see too well. It ain't coming in.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. And by the way, Webb mentioned 4 picks so far because the 4th from the Chicago Bulls, or to the Chicago Bulls, Patrick Williams, mature beyond his years, the youngest college player in the draft, already has a solid body, shot-making ability as well. B, initial reaction on Williams to the Bulls. Brendan.
Yes.
What do you think? Patrick Williams to the Bulls.
Man, listen, this kid is high-speed Wi-Fi. As soon as he hits the court, he is ready to go. He is a good defender. He brings his own energy. He can bounce between the 3 and the 4 position. I like this pick for the Bulls. I like what Leonard Hamilton has done with his program. Listen, but once you get past Kentucky and Duke, Florida State has been putting out pros for the last couple of years, so he's been in a system that developed a lot of pro players. He knows what it's all about. I like what he brings from an energy, defensive standpoint. Only shot 32% from 3, but you can tell the tools are in the toolbox. This was a very good pick for the Chicago Bulls.
ACC 6th Man of the Year. Charlotte area kid said he chose Florida State because they were talking about defense, Andy, when they recruited him.
Well, first of all, we have said from the beginning that the draft starts at 4, and boy, is it starting at 4, because this certainly upends the top part of the lottery with this selection. But I agree with Brendan. I think it's an outstanding selection. Think about it. 6th Man of the Year in the ACC, obviously one of the 2 or 3 best leagues in the country last season and consistently, and he goes number 4. That speaks volumes to his talent, to Leonard Hamilton, to what he does in terms of producing not just ready NBA talent, but especially at the defensive end of the court. That's what the Seminoles have been known for. Patrick Williams knew his role. He stayed in his lane. He accepted it. He came in with hype. Not all Seminoles do. And he was okay. Check that ego at the door. And I think he's ready for this next challenge. You know, it's a real solid pick, but it certainly changes, I think, a little bit of the order here going down the line.
Interesting. You know, new management in Chicago, President Arturas Karnisovas. You've got head coach Billy Donovan there now as well. So who knows what they're thinking in terms of the current roster and how they'd like to shake it up. But absent that information, how does Patrick Williams look to you in a Bulls uniform?
Well, you know, it's the best. When you see someone drafted from Florida State, I've been learning Leonard Hamilton since I was a rookie in the NBA when we practiced at the University of Miami. One of those coaches where Andy said it best, you're going to check your ego at the door. They're going to play 10 players, 10 minutes. So you understand what you get when you come in Florida State. He's a high-energy kid, grew 8 inches. B. Wood talked about it. The mechanics are there to be able to shoot the 3 ball. But let's go to the free throw line. He's shooting 4%, shot well from the field, and didn't get a chance to get a lot of touches because of the big rotation at Florida State. He has a motor, he has energy, he has bounce. I think when you start to look at 2 or 3 years down the road, Matt, this kid has a chance to be an all-star, and he fits what the NBA wants right now, a versatile guy that can guard 2 or 3 positions, also can run and jump and being able to shoot the ball, I think, in 2 or 3 years.
And here's a great nugget, by the way, from Florida State I just got, that Patrick Williams ties for the highest pick of a Florida State player since 1970, when the 4th pick in that draft was Dave Cowens.
Dave Cowens. Wow, that is a good nugget.
Hey, that's a good nugget, Andy, because he went way back.
Way, way back. Wow. So Patrick Williams to the Bulls at number 4. The 5th pick is also in. Isaac Okoro out of Auburn will go to the Cleveland Cavaliers with the 5th overall pick. Smitty, by many accounts, the best defender available.
By my count, yes. I got a chance to see this kid a lot here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. One thing I want to say, let's start off, he's a winner. That's the one thing about him, and he's very coachable. Whatever you ask Isaac Okoro to do, he will do. I look at him as a guy that can be maturation like a Jimmy Butler. When he first comes in the league, defense, but offensively, you're going to be surprised. He's one of those guys, if you tell him what to do and work out and work at it, his jump shot is not there yet, his free throw percentage is not there, but his work ethic and his love of the game will be there. He has great size, and he has something the NBA has right now where he can get him on the court quickly. He can defend 1, 2, 3, and some 4s, and he's a terrific kid. And like I said before, I watched him play for the last 3 years. I don't know if he lost 2 or 3 games.
Shot under 29% from 3 as a freshman. But to your point about his offense, Brendan, you know, he was a freshman playing with a lot of upperclassmen at Auburn. And Bruce Pearl will tell you that he did what he was asked to do. And that didn't mean necessarily they were going to run a lot of offense for him.
Well, they couldn't have run offense for him because he's not there yet. That wouldn't have been a smart move. That would have been playing to his weakness and not his strength. This is a kid that has good basketball eye, good offensive IQ, but bad offensive technique. What I mean by that is the shot isn't there yet. Sometimes the footwork is off, but he knows where to be. He understands time and space, and he understands where to cut, where to go in transition. He's a very smart basketball player. He isn't polished offensively, but he has the traits to be very good at the next level. Has to work on the corner 3, obviously. Right now, if I'm thinking of a comp, I'm thinking like somebody else that played in the SEC a long time ago. He kind of reminds me of Gerald Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Yep, heard that comp before. Andy,
I'll give you one.
Yeah. Is this from Auburn?
Marcus
Did
Smart.
you get a nugget from Auburn, Andy?
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to throw out Marcus Smart in the sense that Isaac Okoro was to Auburn what Marcus Smart was to the Celtics, and maybe he could do that, obviously, in the NBA, which is do a little bit of everything. Maybe he doesn't have that one skill that he does exceptionally well, but he's going to give you tremendous effort. He's going to defend. He's going to drive. He's going to make things happen. You know when he's on the basketball court, and that is critical for a Cleveland team, obviously, that needs to make things happen, that needs energy. Now, I will say, I thought they would go with Obi Toppin, and I'm a little surprised that he hasn't been selected yet. We can get to that momentarily.
You sound disappointed, Andy.
I am a little bit, because I thought he would go here for Cleveland.
Well, I would say, Matt, a lot of young kids, too, at the wing position, a lot of them can't score without the basketball. Right. Isaac Okoro, Brendan hit it on there. He knows how to cut. There's a lot of youngsters right now don't know when to cut, don't know when to move. He has a good knack of being able to cut, and he understands how to play with great players and point guards. I think that's going to be an advantage for him at this level.
Well, and he averaged, 12, almost 13 points a game without them running offense for him. He's going to find a way to score. Some of those are steals. A lot of those are dunks. Talk about Marcus Smart. He's bigger and more explosive than Marcus Smart, even when he was coming out of Oklahoma State. Let's bring in our executive, Tom Penn. And Tom, I know it's not the biggest story around the NBA, but it is the most baffling to me, and that's this Bogdanovich situation. They do the sign and trade deal with the Milwaukee Bucks to send Bogdanovich, and if you're not familiar with the Kings, they're not on national TV a lot, playmaking, shooting, off guard, good player in his prime. Apparently not all that happy about being in Sacramento. They do a sign and trade deal to send him to Milwaukee. One problem, Tom, they didn't actually complete the sign and trade deal with Bogdanovich, and he's now back to becoming a restricted free agent. Have you ever encountered this before?
Yeah, of course. I mean, these deals are all reported until they're real. He can't sign and trade anything until the new free agency opens up.
But doesn't he have
There's
to
gotta be
agree to
this-
the deal first for them to
Well, yeah,
for this to get? I know he can't sign it. He can't sign it until midnight on Saturday night. Not to interrupt. Sorry, but shouldn't they have the deal worked out with the Bucks before they decide it's going to get done?
Remember DeAndre Jordan going to Dallas?
Yep.
Right? So these things happen. This is one where I have no idea what happened here, but things tend to get reported and then they get momentum. And especially in today's day and age, they just get like they're concreted. When I was in that seat, you always were terrified things could fall apart for any number of reasons. In this particular case, Bogdanovich is a restricted free agent. He's going to go to be able to talk to whoever he wants to. They can't do a deal right now. They must have gotten a nod and a belief that that was going to happen. It still might happen. He may be negotiating for more money. I don't know what it is. The other reports were that Giannis was involved in this in terms of having discussions directly with Bogdanovich. So that part's interesting too, where if somebody goes backwards once Giannis is actually involved in the conversations, the whole thing could fall apart. Meaning Giannis's whole role in this makes it, he's got fingerprints on it. He feels slighted, whatever the emotions are that go with it. So, Matt, I'm not surprised because these things tend to happen. They just don't happen very often because usually once it gets out, it then gets real.
Well, take us through the logistics of this then, Tom. What is the responsibility on John Horst's part, whoever was interfacing with the Kings in terms of this deal, speaking to Bogdanovich's agent about what number might be satisfactory to him, et cetera, and dealing with the Kings as well? What is the protocol to make this work?
Well, there's the legal protocol, and there's the back of the room thing that's happening by doing this deal sooner than you're able to do it. And in this particular scenario, you're going to talk to your restricted free agent. You're going to say, we know you don't want to be here. We've got a trade lined up. If and when the window opens, it looks like this might be the number. Of course, agents get in the middle of this and are brokering all these conversations or having these conversations. So until we know more information as to why it actually is falling apart, it's hard to speculate and know what exactly went wrong in this.
Well, I want answers, Tom.
I know you do.
I'm very frustrated by this whole thing. This frustrates me more than Obi Toppin not going to the Cavaliers frustrates Andy. Meanwhile, number 6 is on the board, or off the board, as the case may be. The Atlanta Hawks have gone with Onyeka Okongwu out of USC. Immediate role target, Brendan, and there's more in the game to explore moving forward.
Onyeka Okongwu is going to fit in right away because, listen, there's going to be a lot of lobs in the highlight factory. When Trae Young comes off a screen set by this young man, he can throw it to the rim and he's going to be able to finish.
Sure.
He's more of a hustle player as well. And that's kind of been the theme in this draft. Once we got past the big three, the next 3 guys have all been defensive players. So this guy, his defense is there. He's going to be one of those guys that can finish inside. He can switch on the perimeter and move his feet, which is important. In today's game, a big has to be able to block shots, but he also has to be able to slide his feet on the perimeter. He can't be lunch meat in the pick and roll. I like this kid. I like this pick. Atlanta had some problems defensively. I think he's going to help them out. He's going to be able to shore up the back end.
Played with the Ball brothers at Chino Hills High School when he was a freshman, and this year was first-team All-Pac-12. Andy, there were reports today that there is a toe injury for Okongwu who could keep him out of training camp, maybe delay his debut. Obviously, it didn't dissuade the Hawks tonight.
No, not at all. And I think these injuries, unless they're severe, won't delay any of these selections because we set up the top. A lot of these players haven't played at all since last March, in some cases maybe since February, in the Wiseman situation all the way back to December. And just texting with an opponent of USC, UCLA head coach Mick Cronin, I mean, he was telling me, first of all, incredible character, which we heard on Okongwu, great motor, which you saw in those highlights, and a winner. And I think you pair that with Trae Young on an Atlanta team that has already got some great energy and excitement. I think Okongwu brings that and fits right next to Trae Young so perfectly. Tremendous character. I've interviewed him multiple times, and I think everyone in Atlanta will really love having him in there. And I think he could end up being one of the best players in this draft.
People rave about the young man, explosive at the rim, a switchable defender. And Smitty, maybe it doesn't matter for a Hawks team that is not necessarily knocking on the door of an NBA championship, just trying to get to the playoffs again. But you've got John Collins already there at that position, more or less. Maybe they play John more as a 3. I don't know. Maybe they play small 5 and 4. But how's the fit there here in Atlanta?
I think it's a great fit. I mean, even if you don't start this kid, you have Capella. You also have John Collins. But Brendan said it. He's a lob guy, but that loves to be able to affect the game vertically. And that's the one thing is. And then laterally, he's able to switch. And obviously, as bigs, you want guys to be able to block shots, but also the treat is to be able to switch on these pick and rolls. But what I love is he can score a little bit as well, and he understands his role. I think when you look at him, he's the type of guy that'll get you 10, 12 points as a rookie, but also get you 6, 7, 8 rebounds in limited minutes, but also understands it's a team game, and he fits right in. You run a pick and roll with Trae Young. He's an excellent passer. So if he subs with John Collins, and I think he can play the 4 or the 5, but you don't lose anything when you start talking about the energy and the motor this kid's had. And Andy said it best, just talking to everybody around it, everybody just loves the kid. When you have that type of talent and everybody loves you, you can be a great teammate. I think he's fitting in with the Atlanta Hawks. I think they're doing a nice job, and I like this pick because they have enough wings. I think they needed another big, and they got a good one.
Interesting collection of bigs here in Atlanta for a Hawks team that, by all accounts, is trying to make a push to get back in the playoffs. Reportedly have interest in players like Rajon Rondo, Danilo Gallinari. Here they're maybe sniffing around Gordon Hayward with that situation as well. We'll see how he fits in there. Meanwhile, Detroit has made its selection at number 7. It is Killian Hayes, who I'll sum up with these 3 phrases: shifty, lefty, Frenchie. That's who he is. 6'5", enticing potential. Some boards had him very, very high, Andy Katz. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, for instance, had him number 1 on his big board. Now let's welcome in one of the, not my board, Brendan. Somebody else's board. Number 1. Let's bring in the Piston great Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Famer, to get his reaction on Killian Hayes, Florida-born Frenchman, played last season in Germany. And Zeke, I don't know how much you know about Killian Hayes, but what's your reaction for your old club here?
Well, I only know what I've seen on film and kind of what their needs are. And he fits what their needs are. You know, he's a ball handler. He's a distributor. He has good size. And not only does he have good size, but he also has potential. And as Smitty knows, Detroit is a city that will embrace versatile players. So he can play out on the perimeter. He's got a good shot. He can put it on the floor. He looks for others. And I think he's in a perfect situation because he'll be under tutelage under Derrick Rose. And we know what type of work ethic Derrick Rose has. And I think it's important for when rookies come in, particularly at the guard position, that they learn from someone who has a great work ethic and is willing to teach them. So I like that pick for Detroit.
Highest drafted Frenchman in NBA history at number 7. And he led his German team in assists, and that was a roster that included some names you probably know if you're a longtime NBA fan: Zoran Dragic, Isaiah Briscoe, Archie Goodwin, all on that roster, and he was the assist leader. Zeke, obviously it's been a weird season of evaluation for NBA teams. Couldn't do many in-person workouts, couldn't scout the way they normally would, couldn't have a regular combine. How do you go about evaluating a player like Killian Hayes based pretty much on some video and what your scouts saw during the European season?
Yeah, that's a difficult part in terms of what you just said, Matt. You know, the difficulty in terms of not having that interpersonal contact, not seeing how they react to the crowd, not seeing how they react with their teammates, coaches, in difficult situations. You missed all that. But at least you only missed it for this year. The thing we know about the NBA, they start scouting players, from 9th, 10th grade. I mean, everybody has a book on you. So the players like Killian, everyone kind of knows who you are at a very young age. So there's always talk about you and talk around you. So even though they didn't get a chance to put an eyeball on them right now, they had an international scout done work. They also have communication, and then they also have a book over the last 2-3 years that they've watched him grow, probably since the age of 16, and he's 19 now.
Zeke, you've run a franchise before. How much do you sweat these picks? We know the history of the draft is not great league-wide. I mean, it's hit and miss. When you make that pick, when you make the phone call, when it goes through, what goes through your mind?
For myself, it was you bet not miss. I didn't miss too often, and what I always try to do is draft players who were NBA ready and can walk into a locker room and gain the respect of men who have husbands, who are husbands and wives. You know, you want to be able to, that guy's got to walk into that locker room, and, you know, he's got to be able to present himself in a way where the men respect him in the locker room, and then those men will have kids, they have wives, so everybody's, you know, scrapping and playing for their life. So that player, while you assessing his talent, you know, you really have to assess his maturity, his manhood, and can he come in and compete? Because what that guy's going to have to come in and do is take somebody's roster spot. And if you're trying to take somebody's roster spot, and Smitty knows this, Haywood knows this, all the guys who are coming to the NBA, I don't care who that 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th man is, he is going to compete like hell against you and do everything that he possibly can every single day to make the organization think that they made the wrong pick. So that player's got to be willing to come in and compete. And that's how I try to draft.
Zeke, great to get your perspective as always. Enjoy the night.
Thank you. I definitely will, Matt. You too. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir, Isaiah.
Thomas with us. Reaction on the Pistons pick. By the way, no reaction in my ears so far from Bert Bondi, a Detroiter and Pistons fan. Oh, he likes it. He likes the pick for Killian Hayes. All right, number 8 is in. This will make Andy Katz happy, or maybe not. I don't know. Obi Toppin is going to the New York Knicks, the consensus National Player of the Year, an explosive big, led the nation with 107 dunks last season. That's a school record, and because it's the Knicks, let's bring in the world's most famous Knicks fan. It's Spike Lee with us here on our special draft coverage. Hey, Spike, good to see you. Obi Toppin from Dayton, what do you think?
I like the pick. You know, we got a new front office, and I'm going to quote my brother, Reverend Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive.
Always good when you can quote Jesse Jackson. What do you know about Obi Toppin? Was he the guy you were hoping for, maybe? A lot of folks didn't think he'd make it down to 8.
Oh, I thought so too, but, you know, I really have not picked up. Nobody saw these players. I don't know who most of them are. But I know that he has New York City roots.
Yep.
And that's the good thing. You know, it's always good when a team can draft the players from where they are. So, you know, we got some other picks too. So we got to, you know, have faith in the new management. And we got a lot of work to do.
Spike Lee, Steve Smith, how you doing?
What's up, baby? How you doing?
When you look at, I just want to talk about Obi Toppin, and then obviously as general, you know, being able to go to a Knicks organization. And we know from all organizations there's a lot of pressure, but there's a little different pressure playing in New York. What's your advice to a young guy, even though he's from the Brooklyn area, but now he's playing for the New York Knicks? What's your advice for him to handling all the media and all the spotlight and different things in the New York area?
I think my young brother needs to speak to Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Bill Bradley, Charles Oakley. These are the guys. They were there when Madison Square Garden was jumping. I don't know if any of these guys on the team now can really impart what it means to play in the world's most famous arena when the Garden is jumping. And they will be able to tell this young brother from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, New York, what to look out for.
Hey, Spike, when you talk about New York basketball, you've been there, and you look at it like you said is when the Garden is jumping and when the Knicks are rolling and when Spike is on the sideline, which you've heckled me a lot, just tell
No,
people,
I never ever. Nah, you got me mixed up with somebody.
Well, that's one thing I don't. Just tell the people how special it is being in that Garden, being in that atmosphere when things are going well.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, it's a wonderful thing. I got my season tickets to New York Knicks right after after we drafted Patrick Ewing. I left the house to get online. So I had my season tickets started with Patrick Ewing's rookie year. My father was a huge Knicks fan. He would take me to the old Garden. We would sit upstairs, up top. And I also was at Game 7, May 8th, 1970, the Willis Reed game. So I was just born at the right time for when the Garden was the place.
Hey, Spike, congratulations, by the way, on American Utopia, Defy Bloods, Black Klansmen, all in the last, 2 years came out. All excellent. I don't know if I've missed something there. But as we know here in Atlanta, because there's so much film production here, there's just not a lot of that happening these days because of the pandemic. What are you up to during this time?
Well, I'm doing an undisclosed documentary right now. I'm also teaching at NYU. I'm a tenured professor at NYU Graduate Film School. And just trying to be safe. Today, Mayor de Blasio closed public schools here in New York City. So these people think that's a hoax. I wish they would tell that to people who lost their loved ones. This, as we say, that 19, that Rona, ain't no joke. It's serious.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, and that's true across the country. And a lot of folks just haven't paid heed to that advice. Spike, continue to stay safe. Look forward to seeing the undisclosed documentary whenever that comes out, and seeing you back on the sidelines at Madison Square Garden, where no one is mistaking who you are.
But you know that right now in New York State, Governor Cuomo has not allowed professional sports teams to play. So I don't know when I will be courtside at the Garden.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question, Spike. If we don't have, basketball, I'm waiting for that call for, I can be in one of these movies. I'm still waiting.
Well, there's always been a lot of jibber jabber about he got game 2. So we'll see what happens.
There you go.
Oh, okay. I got to get my knees ready, man. I might be in He Got Game 2.
I can play an announcer. I could do that. It's not a big stretch for me.
I can play the old retired player.
There you go.
Hey, I just want to say you guys are doing a great job. Be safe.
Yeah, you too, Spike. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
As well. God bless.
Love.
Knicks will be back with the 23rd pick as well. Andy, your guy Obi Toppin finally went number 8 to the New York Knicks. What did you like about him? What did evaluators like about him?
Okay, first of all, this is so unfair because I really believe this is the first time in years that they would have cheered the Knicks pick. Okay?
You're probably right about that.
There's no fans. What a great pick for the New York Knicks. For him to fall to number 8. There was a lot of chatter earlier today. They were going to try to trade up to get Obi Toppin. I don't know why he would drop all the way down to 8. We obviously discussed how Patrick Williams sort of changed the way this was going to go when he went 4. Obi Toppin is self-made, okay? Nothing was handed to him. He earned every honor that he has received as the National Player of the Year last season. Think about this. Dayton would have been a number 1 seed. They would have competed for a Final Four. and legitimately could have won the national championship. And that's all because of that human highlight reel, Obi Toppin. He's not Dominique Wilkins, but he could produce like Wilkins in terms of highlights. And I just think the Garden, whenever fans can get back in there, they will absolutely love Obi Toppin. He works his tail off both ends of the court. I know he's got to get better defensively, but he is going to put in the time because he already has to make himself the kind of player that he is today.
Amazing, Brendan, that this is a guy who could not dunk until his senior year. He went to prep school rather than junior college, had a growth spurt, found his way to Dayton, and then dunked on everybody. And there are a lot of Amari Stoudemire comps for Obi Toppin. What do you think?
I've heard the Amari Stoudemire comps. Somebody that I trust a lot said that Obi kind of reminds him of Kenyon Martin with more offense because his jumper's already there. This is the guy that he has the flashy dunks. We've seen the between the legs dunk that he pulled off for Dayton this year. He has the explosion, but at the same time, he can make plays as far as shooting the ball from deep at the college 3 line. So the fact that he can already shoot the ball, and then you see he has the quick jump, the explosive jump, I really like this pick for the Knicks. More importantly, that when I really dug in deep and I asked some of my friends that scout about Obi Toppin, they said, this is the kid that wins every sprint. This is the kid that practices hard every day. We never see him take a day off. The Knicks are trying to have a culture reset. Picks like Obi Toppin help reset that type of culture. And Andy, you said you want to know why he probably slid a little bit. He's a 22-year-old sophomore. You know, sometimes some of these teams in the lottery get a little finicky about guys' age.
Yep, that is a factor for sure. This is a guy who had more dunks as an individual than 336 Division I teams had over the course of the season last year, and he goes number 8 to the New York Knicks. Tom Penn, let's bring you back in on the New York Knicks. New management, as Spike mentioned. They've got a ton of cap room coming up in the summer of 2021, like a lot of teams do. And this is a pick that I think is going to be pretty much universally praised, which is not something the Knicks have had a lot of the last decade or two.
Well, look, the cupboard is bare in New York from a talent standpoint. Until now, I really like this idea of adding Obi Toppin for all the reasons stated. In the draft, you look for a comment, either upside or immediate help, and he's both. He will come in there. They need scoring, and the guy scores it in every which way. That's what I like most about Toppin, the ability to shoot the ball plus all the flashy things that we've talked about. You combine him with R.J. Barrett, and all of a sudden you've got some youth to be centered around. And what the Knicks do have is draft picks going forward. The Porzingis trade set them up. They're going to have multiple picks in the future, plus this combination of cap space. Now, prior to Leon Rose, cap space just meant that they went and blew the money on an old Amari Stoudemire instead of a young version who may come into Amari Stoudemire. So there's some nice symmetry there that we're now restarting with maybe a young version that can grow up and be a star in the making in New York. It's a tough free agent week and year for them to just do a bunch of immediate things that are going to instantly change this team. But that's where the pandemic actually maybe takes the pressure off. They're going to be playing in an empty building in all likelihood. Give these guys a chance to grow up and give them something to be excited about whenever the pandemic ends and we're able to fill the Garden again. So for the Knicks, they've got this runway and they've got young assets and then the ability to change and be different because of their cap flexibility, and they've replenished some of those lost draft picks from the past years. So there's hope in New York City.
I like that. Old Amari Stoudemire, new Amari Stoudemire with the New York Knicks. All right, to number 9, the Washington Wizards. Everybody anticipated that they were going to take a big, and they didn't. Well, he's kind of big. He's tall anyway. Deni Avdija, the young Israeli star, 19 years of age, potential point forward type. Lots of skill, lots of upside, some development to go as well. And let's bring in Kenny Smith now, the number 6 pick in the 1987 NBA draft. Usually sitting on this set, where we are for Inside the NBA. Kenny, good to have you with us. What do you make so far of these first 9 picks?
I think that the picks are, everyone would figure that they are the ones that we saw, just maybe not the order. Those are the 10 guys, 10 guys that you expect to be around and be drafted. It really depends on what your franchises wanted to do and how they're going to do it, and even moving forward, because the bubble exposed a lot of teams and it let them know they weren't good enough. They will never be good enough, and you either have to start from scratch. You have to figure out what your player development looks like. You thought it was good, but I think being around everyone in the bubble exposed the lack of player development, the lack of good players, and the lack of talent. So I'm interested to see how this carries over, guys, not with just the pick, but in potential trades and things of that nature.
This was one of those years where going into it, we didn't know who the #1 overall pick was going to be. A lot of it, conventional wisdom suggested, would have to do with the fit in Minnesota, and that's Anthony Edwards. But I'll ask you what we started with here tonight. Who was the best player available, regardless of circumstance?
For me, it would probably be LaMelo Ball, because he could do multiple things on the offensive end. I think he handles the basketball. He could create the pace. He could fill your arena, and he could shoot the basketball well enough to, be a good shooter. So you got three things that he could do and get better at on the offensive end. So for me, his passing, offensively, he has 4 great possibly talents. Defensively, we haven't seen it yet, but we haven't seen a lot of these guys play defense at certain levels. So at that level, but to be able to have 4 great things that you could be great at in the NBA, to me, that means you have the most potential. Now, that potential is work ethic and desire and all of those things. Those are the things that add in later that we can't measure. But in terms of just visibly, I would say he does.
Kenny, Steve Smith here. You played that position, that point guard position. You got a chance to play it at New York at a high level, whereas point guard city. Then you got a chance to go to North Carolina. Looking at LaMelo Ball, didn't get a chance to traditionally play at, I would say, at a college level. What would be your advice for him coming in at that point guard position? It's totally different than others of running a team for such a young age for a guy like LaMelo Ball.
Well, I think Brendan knows this, Andy knows this as well. It's like, as a point guard, you have to learn to say no, not yes. Like, I have to look on the side and have Akeem on one side and then Clyde Drexler on the next and go no to one of them. And then explain why I'm doing it, or say I'm not explaining this. And I think that's what he already has. He has that bravado, you know what I mean? I don't think he's afraid to say no. Just externally looking at him, I've seen him play, obviously. I live in Los Angeles, so I've seen him play a lot in high school. Was a great high school player, obviously. But I think he has the ability to say no. That's what most point guards, you look at Dame Lillard, you look at Chris Paul, you look at all of the great point guards in our league, Steph Curry, they have the ability to say no, not yes, all the time.
We told you Denny Avdia went to the Washington Wizards with the #9 pick, highest drafted Israeli-born player in NBA history. At number 10, the Phoenix Suns selected Jalen Smith, which may be a little bit of a surprise to some folks that he goes in the top 10 of the NBA draft. Multifaceted, inside, outside, two-way big, 13 All-American at Maryland. 3.7% body fat, if you can believe that, for a guy 6'10". A lot of length, 9'2" standing reach, huge wingspan as well. I see a lot of Miles Turner in him. And Andy Katz, how big of a surprise, if at all, to you, is it that he goes number 10?
Well, it's a big surprise that he went 10 to Phoenix, but not surprising that he's good enough to be in the lottery. I did a lot of Maryland games over the last 2 years, and Jalen Sticks Smith, his nickname Sticks, and the nickname was because he was stick-like as a young kid because he was so thin. But he did what Bruno Fernando did at Maryland, which is decide to go from freshman to sophomore year. He could have come out, raw potential after freshman year, knew he wasn't ready, knew what he had to work on, which has become much more of a better face-up scorer, get a little bit stronger, a little bit headier in terms of a passer. He already was that rim protector, shot blocker. And then as a sophomore, once Fernando was gone and he lost that sort of that mentor, he took on more responsibility and really flourished in that role, pairing that with Anthony Cowan Jr. as that player that could be the leader for Maryland. And look, this is just another product, like Obi Toppin, of hard work.
Of course, Bruno Fernando, rookie with the Atlanta Hawks last year. And of course, Jalen Smith is not the biggest acquisition for the Phoenix Suns this week because, Kenny, as you know, they made the deal to bring Chris Paul to the desert earlier this week. So good last season with the Oklahoma City Thunder and that relatively young roster. He and they were both great in the clutch, winning close games. What does his arrival mean to this young Suns team?
Well, for Chris Paul, here's a team that did not lose a game in the bubble. And now they have a decision maker, that they can figure out who gets the ball, when they get it, and why they get it in key situations, not in the first 3 quarters, in the last quarter. And that's what Chris Paul is great at. He's the best leader in basketball that we've seen in a long time. And he understands game and clock management. And so, all of these guys, especially Devin Booker right here, will benefit tremendously because the pressure won't be on him to not just to make plays all the time, but just to score the basketball. Cameron Johnson, my former North Carolina brethren, he will benefit tremendously by playing with Chris Paul. And also, after talking to my guy Bino Ranson down in Maryland, the assistant coach there, the new Maryland kid is going to have a great time down there. But and Ayton I don't think he caught a lob in 2 years. He will catch 5 lobs a game. He's playing with Chris Paul.
Yeah, I love the acquisition of Chris Paul. I think that automatically makes the Phoenix Suns a playoff team, especially when you look at what's going on. Houston might not be the same. OKC obviously is not going to be a playoff team, so spots will be up for grabs. But Chris Paul is just a winner. He's a winner. He's a competitor. He makes everybody better around him. Kenny, I agree with you. Guys like Jalen Smith and the big fella inside are going to definitely be catching lobs. We talk about DeAndre Ayton. So I like the trade. I think it's going to take some pressure off of Devin Booker. He was asked to do everything. Now he's going to get easy shots. He's going to get some of the easiest shots he's ever gotten. He's just going to Chris is going to run a pick and roll, and Devin's going to be wide open for a corner 3. Or
the only player that I would have loved to see stay there is Kelly Oubre. Like, if he would have benefited so much by playing with Chris Paul as well. But, that was a big piece in the Thunder receiving him, another young, really good, talented player. But I would have loved to see him stay there, but they couldn't do that with the trade.
A big financial piece as well, trying to make the numbers match up. Smitty, we talked about the Suns as a up-and-coming young team with some good talent. What's the difference and how fine a line is it between good talent and a winning team, and where can Chris Paul play a factor in that?
A veteran that wins. And what Chris Paul did last year with OKC Thunder, I thought was, obviously he's getting a little older, but I thought it was his best job as a leader. And he's the best, I think, in the NBA. But what he did with those young guys and Dennis Schroeder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then to get OKC to the playoffs, what I think was fantastic. I'm looking at one of my favorite young 2 guards is Devin Booker, who had the ball in his hand where they tried to run him at the point guard position. And he has a skill to play the position, but he's a natural 2. And to be able to be efficient like Devin Booker is when all eyes on him, and to have a guy like Chris Paul right now, it reminds me when I played with Mookie Blaylock. I get 3 or 4 easy shots that I wasn't expecting, along with the talent that Devin Booker has, along with these bigs and Jalen Smith and Ayton. I'm with Kenny Smith. Some guys, they could have kept that small forward and Kelly Oubre. It would be spectacular, but I know you have to give up something to be able to get Chris Paul. But I think Devin Booker, now we get a chance to see him win on the big stage, and he takes and vaults himself into that. Most you started talking about great players in the NBA.
I thought he benefited from having Ricky Rubio, a true point guard, in the backcourt with him, and now even more so potentially with Chris Paul. Kenny, before we let you go, as you know, both Russell Westbrook and James Harden apparently want trades out of Houston these days. What teams out there should be going after those guys?
Well, I want to trade into Houston. No, I think everyone should be looking at that. Those are 2 dynamic players who could change a franchise. James Harden, if it's rumored correctly and he goes to Brooklyn, that changes the whole landscape of the Eastern Conference. But Russell Westbrook, you put him in certain situations as well, it does the same thing. Like, to me, those are the. If you trade one, especially Harden, you're basically saying that you're starting over in the Western Conference, because the Western Conference is 12 deep, and it may take you 5 years to recover from that, 6 years. And can you be patient enough to wait 5 to 6 years? You look at what Phoenix, how long it's taken Phoenix, and they didn't even make the playoffs. We're talking about them as a great team, and they haven't even made the playoffs in the last years. So getting rid of it's more about, and Brendan and Steve and Andy, you could kind of jump on this. Like, it's more about, are you willing to give up being in the playoffs right now? Like, I'm not, because in the Western Conference, if you get rid of one of your best players, you're not going to be in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah, I'm with Kenny. I'm looking at the Houston Rockets, and obviously, you know, it's hard for me to look at a Houston Rockets team. Obviously, they haven't got a chance to win a championship, but to get rid of two guys that have been MVPs who are still in their prime, it's basically saying to the fans and me that you're restarting over, you're starting over. And that's hard to do in the Western Conference.
That's a perfect situation, though.
What's perfect,
Brandon? For Houston. It's not working, right? And so Houston probably is thinking about restarting anyway. But you don't want to piss off your fan base. Well, now you can just say, well, Russ and James don't want to be here, so we had to deal with them. We had to do the restart. This is probably the direction management had to be thinking of going anyway, because they went all in for small ball. It didn't work. It's been really hard to win with Russell Westbrook in the playoffs the last few seasons. And this year, you saw what happened. The Lakers just didn't guard him. So I think that they were going to probably have to try to move on anyway. And now they can just say, hey, we're moving on, and it's not our fault. Management can move on, and they don't have to feel guilty about it or any backlash from the fans.
Man, I hate to disagree with the best-dressed big man in the game with the pitch.
Hey, you ain't telling no lies.
I hate to disagree with you, but Carolina brethren, but it's not working for only one team. It's only working for one team in the West, which is the Lakers. It worked for them. It didn't work for the Clippers. It didn't really work for Portland. So you're saying that, like, there's no one that could say it worked other than the Lakers. So the Clippers in the same spot. I'm not ready to say I'm giving up James Harden to go and make it over. I hope that as a Rocket fan and a former Rocket, I do not want to see them fighting with Sacramento and the rest of them for the second pick in the draft again every single year for the next 5-6 years. Like, James Harden is you're going to be a top 3 team in the West. You made the trade for Russell Westbrook. All right, it didn't get you over the top. But Russell Westbrook can get you another guy that can get you over the top. He's good enough. So, or you add one more piece to that. So you drop from 2, 3, 4 to 12, 13, 14 quickly. And I don't think I'll be ready to do that at any point as a management position to go, I'm ready to drop to 12, 13, 14. I just can't imagine saying that to myself.
Teams don't usually do it by choice anyway.
They didn't give up on James Harden. They offered him $50 million a year. He said, I don't want it.
He still got 2 years left, though. He said he don't want it today. He didn't say he didn't want it tomorrow. Hey, listen, I'm the kind of guy, you're going to have to turn me down from the prom like 3 times. Like, yo, I'm going to send flowers. The next day I'm going to send candy. Next day I'm coming in the horse. And I'm riding.
They call that stalking.
You got to turn me down.
They call that stalking. They call that stalking.
I will say, hey, Brendan and Kenny, and to your point, Brendan, it hasn't worked. They haven't won a championship.
Exactly.
But, Brendan, no, they haven't won the NBA championship, but it's going to be so hard to get back when you have 2 stars saying they want to be traded, and you trade them, and I'm not going to give you everything for James Harden. So you're going to go down to the bottom, and I'm just not willing to do that when I know I can stay afloat with those 2 guys.
Steve, this is a multi-billion-dollar, Andy, a multi-billion-dollar franchise. I can't move on your emotion in a multi-billion-dollar decision. I have to move on what's right for me. And, this isn't the Rockets when they was in the 80s when they were sold for $500,000, $800,000. This is a multi-billion franchise that, because you don't feel good about something, I can't trade you because you don't feel good. That's just the logic of what I think.
And there are many teams that voluntarily go from where the Rockets are to the bottom of their conference. We've seen it happen with Cleveland when LeBron left. We saw it happen with Golden State last year, but teams don't usually do it on purpose when they have the kind of talent that the Rockets have up top. Hey, Kenny, do you want to play us out? You've got the piano back there. As we say goodbye, you got a tune for us?
Hey, I got a tune for you. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my.
I had a feeling.
I'm the only one in the house that doesn't play the piano. How crazy is that?
Oh, well, next time we'll get anybody else.
Yeah, we'll bring my daughter, Kayla Brianna, and Monique out here. They play it well. I don't play it at all.
All right, next time. Kenny, good to talk to you. Be well.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Kenny Smith with us. Meanwhile, let's get caught up on the picks. Devin Vassell to the San Antonio Spurs with the number 11 pick. Plug and play, 3-and-D. Andy, to me, this is one of the safest, most reliable picks on the board in the first round.
Yeah, it really is. And for those that you had in your bingo card that Devin Vassell was recruited by Presbyterian as well as Florida State, as there's only 2 offers, you win. That just shows you the way Florida State, Leonard Hamilton, and his staff have been able to mine talent. The anticipation was that he was going to redshirt as a freshman. He excelled immensely. Once again, I think the thread here, the theme, is we're seeing with a number of these players, Stick Smith, Obi Toppin, guys that were not handed anything and have earned their spot in this draft. And I think this is a great pick for San Antonio. Leonard Hamilton has great coattails now and is well respected in the way in which his players carry themselves, high character, and especially defensively.
Highest pick they've had since Tim Duncan back in 1997, if you can believe that. Tyrese Halliburton fell a little bit tonight. A lot of folks expected him to be at least top 10, if not higher. The analytics folks love Tyrese Halliburton. Doesn't turn it over very much. Great assist guy, analytics favorite with vision, length, and personality. Played through an injured wrist and had a really good season, averaged 15 points, 6.5 assists per game, and happens to play De'Aaron Fox's position just as we welcome De'Aaron Fox into the proceedings. D, thanks for being with us. What do you make of this pick, Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know if you know much about him or not, but a good player who a lot of folks projected to go a lot higher in this draft. We're not hearing De'Aaron so far.
Let me see.
Oh, there you are.
Y'all can hear me now?
We hear you.
Yeah, I had it on mute.
That's, you know what? That's 2020 in a nutshell.
But like I said, I mean, it's always good to have multiple playmakers on a team. I mean, you saw it with Toronto when they won the championship, starting 2 point guards. So it's always, that's always great for any team.
What do you make of this unusual Bogdan Bogdanovic situation, who you thought was going to get traded in the sign and trade and now apparently may not be?
That's important.
Do you anticipate you'll be playing alongside him next season? Oh boy, we're losing De'Aaron Fox. He's frozen again.
Frozen.
2020.
Tough question.
You know what? I really wanted an answer to that.
You set the tone, Matt, when you were like, yeah, they took Tyrese Halliburton. He plays your position. Darren was like, cut the cord, cut the call.
Wi-Fi out.
The old mute. It doesn't work.
Andy, same question to you on Halliburton as we had earlier. A lot of projections I saw had him more in the 5-6 range, not all the way down to 12.
Well, look, I guess the biggest criticism is he's got a little bit of a funky shot, but you know what? It works for him. So
funky
why
jacket
not?
Too.
How about the jacket? Did he pull it off the drapes? I
think that's a whole suit. That's a whole suit.
Wow.
Okay, young fella.
All right. Love the inscription.
Oh, you gotta have game. You gotta have game to match with that suit. I like
That's right. Oh, look, he can pull it off. So look, despite his, sort of wiry frame, a little similar to LaMelo Ball, the way he is built. I guess you could argue that's a little bit of a criticism on him, but at the same time, the shot goes in for him. He's an exceptional passer, and he's got great height for the position. I think the Kings are thrilled. They have to be for him to fall this far.
Brendan, 6'5", pick and roll master. As I mentioned, doesn't turn it over a bunch. Obviously, you need some strength on that frame. Doesn't necessarily get to the rim a ton, but 15 points a game as a sophomore last year with Iowa State. Shot 50%, nearly 42% from three. There's a lot to like about him.
There's definitely a lot to like about him, and if you watch him, you see he's 6'5". He has some good size on him. But he's a table setter. He sets the tone. He sets the table for everybody else. Now, he's not going to wow you with athleticism. He's not going to be the guy that you just think that is going to jump off the screen with flashy plays, but he's going to be solid. He knows his role. He's going to help you win games. When I think of him, I think of Lonzo Ball with a better shot. The shot looks a little funky, but it goes in at a higher rate. And when you watch Lonzo Ball play, he just makes good heady plays, and that's what this kid does. So I like the pick. I guess they're going to play two guards, and they're going to try to have multiple ball handlers, and that's what the NBA is all about. It's all about multiple pick and rolls and how many times you can make the defense switch from side to side.
Well, and in the last couple of years, they've had lineups where you had Fox and Buddy Hield and Bogdanovich on the floor at the end of games. Right. All can make plays, all can shoot the ball as well. Smitty, I want to get your thoughts on Halliburton's release and how important or fixable or unimportant it might be. A little low, a little slow.
Well, Matt, we all want to talk about different guys' shot, but look at what the kid shot from the three-point line. 41% in both years that he was at Iowa State. I love this pick, and yes, we say he's a point guard, but you can play 2 point guards. These are not two small point guards. The Toronto Raptors pulled it off, and those are two itty-bitty point guards, and they played extremely well. He's 6'5". De'Aaron Fox has great size. Together, they'll be fine. Brendan said it best. You have two guys that can score and also can run pick and roll, and they can get up and down, and they both have moxie. I thought the Sacramento Kings, this is an excellent pick. I love this kid. I love big guards that can play, and you can play these guys in this position as basketball right now. And he rebounds the basketball. If you look at him along with De'Aaron Fox, I think this is going to be great for De'Aaron Fox because now De'Aaron Fox has somebody that can get him some easy buckets.
A lot of people do love the kid, love his game, and love his personality as well. In fact, Iowa State coach Steve Prohm said he'll be governor of his home state of Wisconsin someday. That's the kind of infectious personality he has. All right, I'm told De'Aaron Fox is back with us and maybe can hear us, and maybe we can hear him. Is that true?
Yeah, I hear you guys now.
Oh, good. All right. Let's,
okay, we got him.
Let's start over.
He got rid of that Teddy Riley Wi-Fi.
Let's just start over with.
Man, it's the best they had.
Let's start over with your reaction to the Halliburton pick. As I mentioned to you earlier, a lot of folks thought that he would be going much higher, but he falls to you at number 12 and another playmaker in the backcourt with you guys.
Yeah, just like you said, it's great to have two playmakers on the floor. Like you mentioned with Toronto, I mean, they won a championship with 2 point guards playing at the same time. So it's definitely a great fit, and I mean, it makes the team better.
De'Aaron Fox, I got a chance to play with Brian Shaw. We were both 2 big point guards, and it helped both of our games so much. I watched you so much. You set the table for so many people. Now you have somebody to get you 2 or 3 easy buckets that you can get out and run. I think it's going to be a great fit for both you guys. Both you guys have great size. And when you look at the NBA right now is you can play 1 or 2. He can play 1 or 2. I think playing together and somebody that can get you an easy shot is going to be fantastic for yourself.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I mean, playing with 2 point guards makes the game easier for everybody.
De'Aaron, you said that playing with 2 point guards makes the game easier for everybody. But in what aspect do you think you both be used? Do you think it'll just be one of those situations where it's multiple screen rolls, like one screen roll on the left, kick it ahead, and have him running on the right, or vice versa? Do you see yourself playing without the ball, coming off pin downs a little bit more? Like, how do you see this working, and what type of fit do you think it will be?
So a little bit of everything. I mean, he shot 41% from 3 in college. That's one thing I've been working on, shooting the ball and being able to have 2 guys that can do either or. Now the ball doesn't have to stick, as much. If one guy has it ahead, the other guy can keep going. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with 2 point guards on the floor.
De'Aaron, this is an unprecedented year, obviously, in all our lives, and certainly in the NBA. But I'm curious, what kind of effect do you think it would have on these rookies that they're not going to have a summer league? They're going to go right from this and in a couple of weeks they're going to be in training camp, and then they're going to be games in a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that definitely helps a lot of guys. I mean, you get to train with your team after you're drafted. You have the summer league. Now, we start training camp in about 2.5 weeks. It's right around the corner. So obviously, you expect guys to struggle a little bit, but I mean, that's what you have teammates and vets for. That's what you have those guys for. They're going to help you through everything. Guys might start off slower than usual, but I mean, it's a part of life at this point. You just have to adapt.
Well, and now without the benefit of all that training time and summer league, et cetera, Tyrese Halliburton will be jumping into a position that you know well in the NBA. What advice can you give him about playing point guard in the NBA, making the transition from the college game?
Just taking everything slow. I mean, playing point guard in college to playing point guard in the NBA is totally different. It took me a while to get it down and become better, but I think it works. It helps a lot because I can teach him while also, we get to help each other. So it's a win-win for both.
Hey, I started to ask you about the Bogdan Bogdanovic situation, and then his agent cut your Wi-Fi. Do you expect to play alongside him next season, given what's happened here the last couple of days?
I have no idea. That's up to Bogey, the front office and his agent. I have no say-so in that.
Understood.
Good answer, young
That's a great,
that's
a great answer.
Good answer. Way to stay out of that.
All right, De'Aaron Fox with us. Hey, I appreciate the time. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all stay safe too.
All right, next up at number 13, the New Orleans Pelicans. And they go with Kira Lewis Jr. Explosive, fast point guard out of Alabama, 18.5 points per game. Andy, what's the lowdown on Lewis?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, earlier we were talking about this, and I had some eyebrows raised that I said that Lewis could go pretty high in the lottery and maybe ahead of players like Cole Anthony and be one of the higher lead guards selected. Does my memory serve correctly on that? I think so.
Whose eyebrows were raised? Name names.
Look, this is true. He's only 19, and he's already played 2 years of college basketball. Played for 2 different coaches, Avery Johnson and Nate Oates. And he is a player that can get to the hole with ease. I think this also screams, we'll wait and see, from our esteemed colleagues there, what this means at the point guard position for Lonzo Ball in New Orleans. Are his days numbered? Maybe. We shall see. But Lewis pairing with Zion Williamson is quite a tandem, and I think this is a great pick for the Pelicans. Obviously, down in the SEC country, they know him well. He excelled at his position and got better and better over the last 2 seasons.
Well, and Smitty, it's an even more interesting pick in light of the trade that they made this week for Eric Bledsoe. So you've got Bledsoe, you've got Lonzo Ball, and now Kira Lewis Jr. all on the roster.
Yeah, I think also they have another point guard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
That's right. That's right. Rookie last season. Yeah.
So I know you can't have enough ball handlers as decision makers. So that tells me right there, the Pelicans, whether they keep all of them or not, they're trying to play fast. They're trying to get up and down with Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram if he still be there. I think you look at the Pelicans right now, they're saying right now, the way we're going to play basketball is get up and down because all of those guys play fast. And the one thing about this kid, everybody talks about his speed, and what I loved about him, his speed under control. Also, he's slighter built, but I heard he's got up to about 180 pounds. That's definitely going to help him. And he said it best. He has 2 years of college, and he's just 19, so he's had some experience of playing college basketball. This is really going to be good down there in New Orleans for him.
Scored more than 5 points per game just in transition. That was 4th in Division I last season for Alabama. That's the 13th pick. Boston had the final pick of the lottery, and they go with Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt.
Shooter!
Point sniper and shot maker. He shot 52% from three-point range, hit 63s in just 14 games before a right foot injury ended his season. Brandon, talk about an NBA skill to be exploited. Nesmith has one.
Listen, Neesmith definitely lets it fly. You mentioned he shoots 52% from three. I had a chance to sit down and talk with his coach, Jerry Stackhouse. He said this is the best shooter he's ever been around. You know, Stack was in the league for a very long time and played with some good shooters himself. So if Stack says he can shoot it, I'm going to roll with it. He said that the release looks the same every single time. He has good size on him. Worked out a lot with Chris Middleton in the offseason, tried to pattern his game after Chris Middleton's a lot also. So, listen, he has a skill that is shooting the basketball. And in today's game, if you can shoot the basketball, they will find a place for you. Look at Duncan Robinson in Miami. Just the fact that he can shoot the basketball means that teams have to guard him. They have to play the rest of the team differently. So I like Neesmith. I like the size. I like the shooting ability. I think he is ready to contribute right away from the offensive standpoint.
I think this is a great pick. It's the first of 3 first-round picks for the Boston Celtics. And the knock on Neesmith, if there is one, is that he's a one-trick pony. But this one trick, it works in the NBA. I mean, it's a good trick to have.
You know, Brendan brought up Miami. And I'm not saying Neesmith would have been in the game at the end of the game, but that zone bothered the Celtics. And they needed a zone buster the way Miami had them in Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. So if Neesmith were in a game like that, he's got a skill. Come in, knock down that shot, and that's what the Celtics need.
Spoken like a Massachusetts native. Andy Katz weighing in on the Celtics and a need pick for them. All right, we're going to take a break. Finally, in our coverage here as the lottery comes to an end. But first, Woj weighs in with a trade. Ricky Rubio is headed back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where, of course, he spent the first, 6 years? I don't know, off the top of my head, of his career. The 25th and 28th picks for a package that includes the number 17 pick as well. We'll sort all that out as we move forward with our coverage. It's the NBA Draft 2020 presented by State Farm here on NBA TV. A lot of happy young men finding their new NBA homes here in an unusual draft year.
When it's lights off, it's game on with Projects. Turn any room in your house into a projecting gaming arcade. That's a blast to play. No TV or sensors needed. Just point Projects at a blank wall, grab a blaster, and aim for your target. But stay sharp, they move fast. Digital scoring keeps track of your hits. You can play solo, head-to-head, or team up for co-op play. Swap slides to blast different targets. Go duck hunting, or defend against UFOs. Projects comes with 5 built-in games that challenge your speed and accuracy. Plus, you can level up with 3 different skill levels. Because it's portable and battery-powered, you can play Projects inside or out. You get awesome lighting, crisp, clear projection, and intense sound effects. You can get the brand new Projects 2 blaster set with 3 different target slides. For more information, visit projectscanada.ca. Batteries not included. Must be 18 years or older to go online. It's the projecting portable arcade that's a blast to play. It's Projects.
If you or a loved one are in pain and have been thinking of trying Dr. Ho's drug-free pain relief solutions, now's your chance. For a limited time only, you can save big on Dr. Ho's products with exclusive Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Don't wait. Go to www.shopdrho.com or call to check out our biggest sale of the year. If you suffer from foot and leg pain, try the Circulation Promoter. It helps improve circulation in the legs and relieves symptoms associated with neuropathy, sciatica, sore feet, and even arthritis-related pain.
When I did start using the Dr. Ho product for my feet, I noticed an improvement. It makes my feet feel more rejuvenated, and it takes care of the pain for me.
For neck pain, try the Neck Pain Pro. Make no mistake, this is not a mechanical shiatsu massager. The Neck Pain Pro features built-in smart electrodes that pass pain-relieving waves from the pain therapy unit, a TENS and EMS device. It relieves tight neck and shoulder muscles, improves circulation, and relieves symptoms associated with headaches.
I love the Dr. Ho product because it helps my neck, it helps my upper back, and it does it all without the use of drugs.
And for back pain sufferers, try the Triple Action Back Belt. It features not 1, not 2, but 3 pain relief solutions. First, the smart electrodes inside the belt deliver pain-relieving waves from the pain therapy device. Second, inflate the lumbar support cushion for customized lumbar support. And third, get core compression with the dual support band. You get 3 back pain relief solutions.
Since having the belt, I actually feel rejuvenated because I'm having the TENS machine go on, I'm having the lumbar support, and I'm without a lot of pain at the end of the day.
Plus, all Dr. Ho's TENS devices come with body pads so you can treat your entire body, including symptoms associated with fibromyalgia, joint pain, and arthritis pain. And you'll get a 90-day money-back guarantee.
If you're not happy with the results for any reasons at all, please return it for a refund.
Don't miss out on some of our lowest prices of the year. And don't forget about your loved ones. Dr. Ho's products are the perfect gift. Go to www.shopdrho.com or call now. Almost everything is discounted. Plus, get free shipping on almost all orders. These offers won't last long and are not available in stores.
Tractor Supply.
The NBA is back. Watch the start of the 2021 NBA season during Kia NBA Tip-Off beginning on December 22nd on TNT. Brought to you by the K5 from Kia, the official automotive partner of the NBA. Andy Katz, your best available at this moment with 15 picks in.
Well, I would start off with Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Precious Achua. Villanova, Washington, and Memphis are your schools right there. And what's crazy is through the lottery, first 14 picks, no blue bloods. That has to be a first in quite some time.
Well, depending on who you're defining as blue bloods, I get your point. But what do we make of that? Because, well, let's get to number 15, which comes from a blue blood program.
Oh, we got the blue blood.
I said lottery.
A powder blue blood program, to be specific, North Carolina. Brendan Haywood's familiar with the caller. Cole Anthony, we're familiar with the young man, and of course his father as well, worked with us for a long time here, and I've worked with for like 15 years. We keep moving to the same jobs.
I've been knowing for probably 50 years.
Yeah.
I would say looking here is, when you want a point guard, Cole Anthony has tremendous size. When you talk about traditional point guard, that's Cole Anthony. Then you talk about scoring point guard, that's Cole Anthony. Then you talk about leadership, that's Cole Anthony. I think this is a kid that I don't understand how he dropped this far in the draft, but it kind of matters. But I think for him is he's going to have that chip on his shoulder. And here's a kid that played at Carolina, got injured, but I think he has a chance to still be the best point guard in this draft because of his size, his talent, and because of his leadership quality.
Well, Brendan, as a Tar Heel, you saw a lot of him. What did you think of Cole Anthony's season?
I like Cole Anthony. I like him a lot. I think that people are judging this kid's game, but it was really tough to assess how good he really was because this wasn't the regular Tar Heels team. Andy talked about being a blue blood university. Well, there wasn't a lot of talent on that team outside of Cole, and it was really easy for other teams to focus in on him. And so he didn't have the spacing that he probably traditionally would have had in a regular Carolina type of year. He also got hurt, came back with the knee injury. I think Cole's going to do just fine. I think he's going to be a big-time pro. We've all worked with his dad, so he understands how to play the point guard position because his dad was a point guard in the league for a very long time. I think this is a very good pick.
So Brendan says the Blue Bloods lacked blue chips to make that thing work with the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Andy, you know,
what a lot in the cover this year, man.
Cole Anthony
yeah, look,
was
it was an outlier. It was an anomaly that year.
Yeah, he was the MVP of the McDonald's game last year, and when the season began, was projected much higher in the draft. Was it the injury? Was it the chemistry with players around him? Why did he fall to 15, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of all that. I can't pinpoint exactly why. You know, we could argue that Lewis and Hayes and Halliburton all went ahead of him. But over the last month, those have been the rankings essentially for the point guards. I mean, Cole Anthony was sort of put 4 or 5 in terms of where he was going to go projected. But ultimately, as you guys know better than I do, it's all about fit. It's where you go. And, you know, going to Orlando could be a great fit for Cole Anthony. And yes, North Carolina, of course, is a blue blood. But I said lottery, so this is outside the lottery. And as Brandon knows, that was an outlier that year last year, this past season. That's not the norm for the Tar Heels. Although, by the way, back-to-back one-and-done point guards from the Tar Heels, because last year Kobe White one-and-done for Chicago.
That's right. You see the emotions there with Cole Anthony, his extended family, including Greg, and what it means to him. It's just, Brandon, you and Smitty can speak to that moment and what it means regardless of what team and what slot you're picked.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, you get a chance to have your dreams come true, and just watching that picture, because no Cole, since a youngster, no Greg, no, his mom. That foundation, Spike Lee is there.
Yeah, I saw that.
That foundation that this kid has around him, he's going to be successful. And I'm just looking forward to him getting a chance to play in Orlando. And that is a plus for Greg. He lives in Florida. He gets to get down the street. Just looking forward to Cole Anthony. You see the emotion. That's all the hard work that entire foundation and family has put in has paid off.
And Greg is one of the big winners in terms of travel distance to get from his home to Orlando Magic games. Pretty easy. And Brendan, based on your experience with teams and other players around the league, what kind of an advantage is it to grow up in an NBA family?
It's a big time advantage to grow up in an NBA family because you learn what it is to be a pro. And then on top of that, you weren't the biggest name in your household. So a lot of times guys that come from NBA families, they're a little bit humble. Think about it. If you're a McDonald's All-American and no one in your house has ever really done anything big time, next thing you know, it's all about you. But in the NBA family, you've been watching your dad be successful. You've been the guy that they haven't talked about for a long time. So you've been sitting there learning, developing, watching dad do great things, and now it's your turn. So a lot of times you see guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson come from NBA families, and they're terrific people because they're so super humble because they almost had to be. They weren't the biggest names in their households growing up.
One of the things, if I could just piggyback off of that, is that he has presence and he has a professionalism about him. And when I think about so far, and I rattled off those point guards in between Ball and Cole Anthony, I would still say those two, that bookends right there, they're the two most professional point guards. And obviously Ball literally was a professional, but they carry themselves. When they are on the court, when they are in the practice gym, or even when they're just walking to the floor. They just have a presence about them. Cole Anthony has it, just like LaMelo Ball has it.
All right, a couple more picks to get to. Number 6, one of Andy's best available is no longer available. Isaiah Stewart goes to the Portland Trail Blazers with the number 16 pick that will eventually be routed to the Pistons. Long, flashback sort of big, averaged 17 a game, had 5 2010 games. Kind of an old school big, Smitty.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a throwback, as you can see, but what I love about him, that he can face up, he can score. You look at it, he averaged 17 points, 8 rebounds. Didn't shoot the three particularly well, but you don't have to shoot the three to be successful. You just have to come in and play your role. And when you look at going to a team that has C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard, I think this is a good fit for this young guy. And he's from the Washington area where he played college basketball, and he's with the Portland Trail Blazers. This is going to be a kid who I think gets a chance to come along slow, but will have a chance to make some impact immediately.
All right, we've got another trade to report on as well, and it involves Luke Kennard. Clippers are sending the 19th pick via Brooklyn to the Pistons, bringing back the shooter Luke Kennard. The Nets pick up Landry Shamet in the process. A couple of really good young shooters.
Shooters for shooter, huh?
Making their way across the country. And how about how good life? Well, I guess life was pretty good for Landry Shamet already, but it's maybe just as good with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving spreading the floor for him.
Yeah, both guys are okay.
Yeah. Tom, let's get your initial thoughts on this one as we try to digest that. Kennard to the Clips. Landry Shamet, good young two-way player, goes to the Brooklyn Nets, and picks involved as well.
It's all about the Clippers here. Clippers are in go-for-it mode, trying to win a championship, get over the top. So they move away from 19 and go with Kennard. Very interesting. Plus Shamet, a good player. They must really like what they see in Luke Kennard. With the change in head coach and with, the ability to get better when you're already as great as they were through the regular year, at least on paper, and the way they should be at the top. I think no team was more affected by chemistry and by the bubble than the Clippers. That collapse of the Clippers and their overall chemistry just fell apart. Be interesting to see what other changes they make in moving some of their veterans away. But bringing on Kennard, they must have thought they could get a lot more help with the growth and evolution. His production has been great in Detroit. His progression as a player has been impressive. So he comes in ripe and ready to help rather than taking some young player at 19 who's just not going to make an impact. That's the most interesting part of this trade for me, because you wonder, can the Clippers get over the Lakers? Can the Clippers emerge from the West and win it all? This is one way they can improve, is turning 19 into this.
Of course, the Clippers are reportedly also sniffing around Rajon Rondo as a unifying additional playmaker there in LA. We'll see if that plays out. At number 17, the Minnesota Timberwolves, second pick of the first round, and it goes to Alexei Pokusevski, who is a 7-foot classic risk-reward sort of pick, potential draft and stash candidate, especially in light of the Ricky Rubio trade coming in. Youngest available player in the draft, rail thin, 7 feet, 7'5" wingspan. But Tom Penn, he only played 2 minutes for the Olympiacos 18 last year.
7 foot 205?
What's that? Yes.
Yeah, that's at 205, he would.
But you see this video, and a lot of it looks like it was shot in rec centers. I mean, this is not high-level competition.
This is a clear indication of what Sam Presti is planning. Look, he traded Rubio, moved up and traded away Rubio, a player who could really help him at least win games this year, for this player that definitely won't be coming this year. It's for the future. Super clear direction and indication that Oklahoma City is all about the future. They keep grabbing draft picks. The challenging thing in this is none of them are guaranteed to be really, really high draft picks the way it was when they got Durant, when they got Westbrook, when they got Harden, and they did this the last time. Sam Presti's looking to be really bad, go through the valley this year, and go through it during COVID times, because this kid, as great a prospect as he may be, you're going to have to wait. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan, but 205 won't get it done on the block. Is that right?
Hey, listen, a lot of these point guards are going to be 205. You know what I'm saying? So to be 7 foot 205, he's going to have to get a little bit stronger, and he's going to have some time. He's obviously not coming over anytime soon. And so hopefully, you know, by the time he gets over here, he'll be 215.
I'm not sure he's going to be anywhere near the block either, based on the video that we've seen of his play. Even his Olympiacos coach says he's got potential, but he's nowhere near ready to play in the NBA. I mean, he's probably 2-3 years away if it happens.
Yeah, I totally
Matt, I would
agree.
just say you should take the word potential out of your draft and stash. I know you're being journalistically correct there, because we don't know for certain, but I think we can guarantee, not to quote Chuck here, but Charles Barkley, you can guarantee that this is a draft and stash.
Certainly seems that way. I'm going to say potential. Potential, until we hear otherwise. But, yeah, it seems like it. Where are we going, Bert? Josh Green to the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry, I missed Bert, our producer, talking while I'm talking. We can't talk to each other at the same time.
No.
It's not his fault. It's my fault.
No, Josh Green, watched him play, seen him play in the McDonald's All-American game, saw a lot of games at Arizona. He is physical. He's 6'6", as you can see. Didn't shoot as well, but still young. I think this is a good fit for the Dallas Mavericks, because he's a kid that can get out and run and also score without the basketball in his hand. And playing with Luka Doncic, he'll get a chance to get some easy buckets. And he's one of those kids that has some size already that he can absorb contact, Matt, while he's driving the basketball. So looking for him to get a chance to grow with the Dallas Mavericks organization.
By the way, if you had 9:55 for our first Luka Doncic reference of the night, good for you, because I figured it was coming a lot sooner.
You saw in that video the Australian flag. So, yes, he played at Arizona, but he's Australian, and that just fits right in with Donnie Nelson, because they love to go international. And so he's got a worldly, global game.
Absolutely. Modern two-way wing, lots of ups. And, Brendan, not a lot of downside for him.
No, not a lot of downside for him. Like I said, I agree with Smitty. He gets out in transition. 6'6", big, strong, athletic. Doesn't really put it on the floor well right now. Comps can be early Jason Richardson. He's not as explosive, but Jay Rich coming out of Michigan State didn't put it on the floor that well either. Had to get out in transition, and he developed into a shooter. And I think that's what the Dallas Mavericks are hoping that this kid does. Develops into that type of shooter that can play in transition.
And he wants to be great on the defensive end, Matt. If you watched him in Arizona, he took challenges, and he's physical enough with that body to be able to absorb. And when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, they need some more wing defenders to go along with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis.
All right, next up is the Brooklyn Nets, and in terms of value, based on the projections before the draft, they get some value here in Saddiq Bey, 6'8" out of Villanova, a shooter, scorer with two-way game. And Andy, again, this is another case of a guy who is projected to go more like 12-ish.
Yeah, but this is actually a great 2020 example here of regional recruiting, regional scouting, because for Brooklyn, this is right up the I-95 corridor. You're looking at a player that played in the Big East at Villanova from a program that has tremendous respect nationally, but also obviously in the New York metropolitan area in Villanova, and Jay Wright winning multiple national championships. And Saddiq Bey just did a little bit of everything for Villanova. And so this is, I think, yet another steal in terms of a quality player to drop, as we say, drop. He's supposed to go higher at 19, but it's about fit. And this is a really good fit for Saddiq Bey.
And by the way, let me update that based on that previous trade, the Landry Shamet, Luke Kennard trade. This pick should be for the Detroit Pistons, made by Brooklyn tonight, but it looks like Saddiq Bey is headed to the Pistons. And Brendan, first team all Big East for Saddiq Bey, shot it really well, 45% from three-point range. He's 6'8", kind of a 3-and-D guy a little bit potentially. Maybe dribbled a lot at Villanova, but that's not going to be allowed in the NBA, and he'll adjust.
Yeah, Saddiq Bey, as you mentioned, Matt, can really shoot the basketball, and he has a very high basketball IQ. This will be a type of player that will earn the coach's trust from day one. Certain guys just know how to play, and coaches sometimes gravitate towards those players because they don't have to do a lot of teaching. The guy just knows where to be, and that's what you get from Saddiq Bey. Very solid pick, not flashy, but a lot of substance.
All right, Saddiq Bey headed to the Detroit Pistons via the Brooklyn pick at number 19. That puts the Eastern Conference champion Miami Heat on the clock next. We'll get to that pick when we come back. Almost 20 picks, just about a third of the way through the 2020 NBA draft. Our coverage continues after this as you look at the reaction from Cole Anthony.
I love it.
Draft rights now belong to the Orlando Magic, and a lot of teary faces at home.
They bring the double at Booker. Book on the spin, fires for the win! Got it!
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do. He is ridiculous. Big time shot.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Devin Booker, 35. Suns win it.
Power Treads, the all-surface vehicles that you build and unleash. Customize your Power Treads ASV and create your own custom course with the track set. Keep tracks close for more control, or expand them out for more challenging routes. Plus, power up the Power Tracker. Now, track around without knocking stuff down, or power through. You can get the Power Treads full throttle pack. For more information, visit powertreads.ca. Must be 18 or older to go online. Power Treads from Wowie.
If you or a loved one are in pain and have been thinking of trying Dr. Ho's drug-free pain relief solutions, now's your chance. For a limited time only, you can save big on Dr. Ho's products with exclusive Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Don't wait. Go to www.shopdrho.com or call to check out our biggest sale of the year. If you suffer from foot and leg pain, try the Circulation Promoter. It helps improve circulation in the legs and relieves symptoms associated with neuropathy, sciatica, sore feet, and even arthritis-related pain.
When I did start using the Dr. Ho product for my feet, I noticed an improvement. It makes my feet feel more rejuvenated, and it takes care of the pain for me.
For neck pain, try the Neck Pain Pro. Make no mistake, this is not a mechanical shiatsu massager. The Neck Pain Pro features built-in smart electrodes that pass pain-relieving waves from the pain therapy unit, a TENS and EMS device. It relieves tight neck and shoulder muscles, improves circulation, and relieves symptoms associated with headaches.
I love the Dr. Ho product because it helps my neck, it helps my upper back, and it does it all without the use of drugs.
And for back pain sufferers, try the Triple Action Back Belt. It features not one, not two, but 3 pain relief solutions. First, the smart electrodes inside the belt deliver pain-relieving waves from the pain therapy device. Second, inflate the lumbar support cushion for customized lumbar support. And third, get core compression with the dual support band. You get 3 back pain relief solutions.
Since having the belt, I actually feel rejuvenated because I'm having the TENS machine go on, I'm having the lumbar support, and I'm without a lot of pain at the end of the day.
Plus, all Dr. Ho's TENS devices come with body pads so you can treat your entire body, including symptoms associated with fibromyalgia, joint pain, and arthritis pain. And you'll get a 90-day money-back guarantee.
If you're not happy with the results for any reasons at all, please return it for a refund.
Don't miss out on some of our lowest prices of the year. And don't forget about your loved ones. Dr. Ho's products are the perfect gift. Go to www.shopdrho.com or call now. Almost everything is discounted. Plus, get free shipping on almost all orders. These offers won't last long and are not available in stores.
Boston is going to zone up here on the side out of bounds. They're going to be switching everything back here. Marcus Smart's going to stay up high, taking anybody coming to the ball.
Raptors .5. They can catch and shoot.
Series on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes! OG Anunoby at the buzzer! Got it! Wow!
Number 20, the pick from the Miami Heat, the Eastern Conference champions, and they take Precious Achiuwa, 6'9" freshman out of Memphis, a big-time athlete who can produce now and has real potential, Brendan, with some polish moving forward.
Yeah, Precious is strong, can move well on the perimeter, doesn't really shoot it well right now, but that's something that he can work on. We know Miami is one of the best programs as far as when it comes to developing players. So I think that he is in the right position. This young man has all the tools. You see him finishing right there. You see the body. He is NBA ready off the rip. So as long as he gets in that gym and improves that jumper, he will be A-OK. I think this is a great pick for Miami.
Despite changing his role when James Wiseman left the picture in Memphis, he became the American Athletic Conference Player of the Year as a freshman. He's headed to the Miami Heat. And with that, let's welcome in the Heat great and Turner Sports colleague, Dwayne Wade, the future Hall of Famer, with us. And Deep, what are your thoughts on Precious Achiuwa? I don't know how much you scouted these guys, but based on the Heat's needs, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, thank you guys, man. Yeah, I haven't did a lot of scouting, but, just talking to, my best friend, my brother, Udonis Haslam, who was the captain over there. We talked about what was the Heat need. And the one thing we talked about was Bam. Bam is, he's taking a beat down there. So to have somebody that can come in and kind of play the same way. He's a young Bam coming in. Bam couldn't shoot early on. He was real athletic, great roller to the rim, great shot blocker. And then with the Heat's ability to, make sure they put the work in with these players and teach them, the NBA game slowly, this kid can develop into what Bam has now developed into. So I love this pick for us because, it's something that we need and something that Bam needs to continue to stay at that all-star level.
Amazing story. He grew up in Nigeria, took up basketball just 6 years ago as an 8th grader, and now he's a first-round draft pick. Dwayne, we've been talking about the weird schedule. Free agency's in 2 days from now. Camp's going to start in a couple of weeks, and then the season is a little more than a month away. For rookies in particular, how challenging a transition is this going to be?
I'm sure it's going to be very challenging. I mean, this is unprecedented, what's going on right now. These guys have waited about 6 or 7 months to get drafted into the NBA. And now you come into a situation where it's unfamiliar and it's unknown coming out of college and overseas as well. But then you come into it with everything that's going on with the NBA, trying to figure out how to get the season back, on and, hopefully one day get fans into the building. So this is unprecedented time, but you know what? This is where we are and this is what we have to deal with. So I'm sure these guys is going to get ready to play basketball. They all are basketball players. That's what they do best and that's what they want to get to. So I just look forward to, saying, which guy from this draft is going to, take that step and become, rookie of the year and then eventually all-star and then eventually MVP. So it's great these moments are always great to think about. The future of the game is in a great place and who's going to step up and be the next LeBron James or James Harden. these guys that's in our league, Kevin Durant, these guys.
D-Wade, I know you're humble, but who's going to be the next Dwayne Wade? If you look at a guy like Anthony Edwards, has that type of size, that type of feel. Don't want to put that pressure on Anthony Edwards, but, I was coached by Tom Crean at Michigan State as an assistant.
Yes, sir.
You were coached by Tom Crean, and you got a chance to be at Georgia and watch Anthony Edwards. Just talk about the similarities of you and Anthony Edwards and what you saw in the young fella when you went down to see him at Georgia.
Yeah, man, I got an opportunity to see him at Georgia. We were there at the same time. I took my son. It was an unofficial visit, and we sat in there for about 2 hours and watched film with Coach Crean. And he picked their games apart. And what I've seen about him is he was open to criticism. He was open to understanding that, yes, he's very good, but there's so much more he can learn from the game of basketball. I obviously we all look at his size, his ability to get to the basket and finish. But he came out and said it. He said he looked at a guy in the NBA he can be like or be better than. He said me. So it's not pressure. He understands the opportunity. He understands that, myself, Victor Oladipo, him as well, we all have been coached by the great Tom Crean, and, we all have something in common, with that being said. So I look forward to following his career, his path. I think he's a phenomenal talent. He was the #1 pick to me, and I'm glad he did go #1. So congrats to him. Congrats to Coach Crean in Georgia for, putting out #1 pick, man. That's awesome.
D-Wade, outside of Anthony Edwards, was there another player in this draft that either has been drafted or is going to be drafted that really stuck out to you, or somebody that you had a chance to watch this year at all?
Yeah, man. A lot of guys. Tyrese Maxey is one of my favorite players in this draft, who I don't think he's been drafted yet. Just somebody who I feel is going to be a real good player. I got a chance to watch him, work out over the summer. He works out with Chris Johnson, a friend of mine, one of the best trainers in the game. Got a chance to watch him. Really love his play. I want to see R.J. Hampton get drafted as well. A young kid who went overseas as well. Who got a great upside. It's so many guys. My guy from Seton Hall, man. It's guys in here that can get buckets. That hasn't been drafted yet. And I can't wait to see them get their opportunity. Wherever they go is the place they should be, from the standpoint of, the team possibly. And I hope they're not worried about not getting drafted high. If you get drafted late and you get drafted to the NBA, then that's what it's all about. You go in there and make the best of it. So there's a lot of talent still left out there that I think is later on when we look at this draft, there's going to be a lot of the best players in the draft going to be later in this draft. And they go Tyrese Maxey right there. Just went to Philly, the pick.
So, yeah, D-Wade, Tyrese Maxey, part of that culture with Cal at Kentucky. But, everyone loves to talk about culture with Miami, and I think Precious Achiuwa fits in perfectly with that. You know it well with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. For those that don't, how would you define that culture in Miami?
Well, listen, I'll tell every guy that get drafted to Miami, strap it on, bring your hard hat, because it's not going to be sunshine and ocean, water. That's not what the Heat are about. That's outside the gym. But you're going to spend time in there, understanding what that culture means. That's about hard work. It's about, most best condition, hardest working team. It's just guys that just come in and bring their pail buckets and go to work. And Coach Spo has done an amazing job of continuing, what Pat Riley laid. And, myself and UD and all the guys that came through Miami, LeBron James, we all take what we learned from Miami and we try to take that into our lives as parents and also our lives in business as well. So I look for a young guy like Precious and, like even a guy like Bam. I love when a young guy like that get drafted to the Miami Heat because, they're going to build something that's going to last them a lifetime in the NBA. And that's the understanding of what it takes to really be successful in this league.
Hey, Dwayne, before we let you go, I was here in the studios a few weeks ago or months. I don't know. I've lost track of time in 2020, but it was a while ago. And there were an unusual number of cars in the parking lot. We haven't had a lot of that because of the pandemic. We just haven't had many people in the building. And I said, what's going on? And they said, oh, they're shooting a game show, and Dwayne Wade is hosting. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Listen. I'm finding my own lane out here, man, and I'm just trying to drive comfortably in it. I have an opportunity. I was in Atlanta for a while, and I got a chance to host a game show for the first time, and I was just a big fan of it growing up. My favorite show when I was a kid was the Bozo Show. I thought it was going to change me and my family lives before the NBA was a dream. And now I got an opportunity to host a game show, man. So it's called The Cube. I'm very excited about it. I know the Warner Media family and TNT, TBS, they're all excited about it as well. So hopefully everybody like it, man.
All right, I look forward to seeing it, and it's great to see you as well. Be safe.
Thank you, guys, man. I miss you guys.
Yeah, same to you. Dwayne Wade with us here tonight. on our NBA draft coverage, and he broke the news. Tyrese Maxey to the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't even want to ask you guys about fit because I don't know what the 76ers roster is going to look like. They made a deal today moving Al Horford. So, Andy, to you, just on the evaluations on Tyrese Maxey as a pro prospect.
Well, Maxey played big in the big games for Kentucky last season. It is sort of strange to not see a Kentucky player under John Calipari in the lottery, but that's okay. This was the best talent on that team last season, and talent rises. And obviously, this is a good pick for the Sixers. Doc Rivers knows the Kentucky culture extremely well. But I just think that also that's the thing with Tyrese. He had to shoulder a lot of the responsibility last season. You see Daryl Morey right there with his new gig there with Philly moving over from Houston. So this is a quality pick for the Sixers at this spot because Maxey has and had lottery-like talent.
John Calipari made the Jamal Murray comparison for a scorer with a scorer's mentality in Tyrese Maxey. And Brendan, regardless if you want to consider Maxey or not, I do want you to weigh in on what you think Philadelphia is going to look like next season. They made the Horford trade today. Danny Green, who's been traded twice this week, he now lands on the 76ers roster. What do you anticipate that team looking like when we get going?
I'm not sure if anybody knows for sure right now. Seems like Philadelphia 76ers are having a lot of turnover. They have turnover in the front office, turnover with the coaching staff, and now we see them bring in Maxey. We see them trade out Horford. So I'm not really sure, but I know that we're going to get a lot of Ben Simmons. We're going to get a lot of Joel Embiid, and I think they're going to play through those two guys. And they're trying to find guys that can play off of those two guys' skill set. Horford is a great player, great NBA veteran, but Al Horford was a bad fit from the jump. He never quite fit in with Joel Embiid. He needs to play the 5 at this stage in his career, and obviously Joel Embiid plays the center exclusively for Philly. So I think it was smart to trade him. Hopefully Danny Green can come in there and be a good leader in that locker room. That locker room has needed some leadership, so I know my UNC brother will bring that.
Yeah, I was surprised Horford didn't work out there because he's such an easy fit almost anywhere he plays. Smitty, it's an interesting situation there because you have the coach, Doc Rivers, hired before the president of operations, Daryl Morey. That's an unusual sequence of events right there. Maybe different philosophies as well. Do you have any sense of how this team is going to play, not just this upcoming season because of the shortened off season, they don't have a lot of time, but in the seasons to come?
Yeah, and you still have Elton Brand, who I thought has done a great job. And I think people forget that Elton is there and has done a fantastic job. And yes, you bring Daryl Morey, who we all know loves the analytics and the three-point shot, but ultimately you have a coach in Doc Rivers. The one thing I do know is we'll get a chance to see some stability of you looking at the Philadelphia 76ers playing the game the right way. And that's the one thing Doc Rivers is going to bring. He's going to bring a coach that has all this knowledge, that's won before and has won at a high level, and also I think some accountability to find the perfect way for these two guys to try to match when you start talking about Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. But you can see what they're acquiring. They're having a lot of guys that can run, athletic, get out and run, but also can shoot the basketball if they keep all these guys that they're acquiring in Maxey and Terrence Ferguson and also Danny Green, guys that can flat out shoot. But I like the stability of Doc Rivers. You should see a different Philadelphia 76ers team from day one.
Don't expect roster stability, though, with Philadelphia, with Daryl Morey running the show. Trade already. He made 77 trades during his time in Houston. All right, next up, the Denver Nuggets. They had the 22nd pick overall in the first round, and they go with lengthy Zeke Naji out of Arizona, who, Andy, I can almost guarantee is the best piano player in this draft.
Yeah, concert pianist. Sean Miller, the head coach of Arizona, even told us, I think it was last week or week before, on our Get to Know series on NBA TV, that they had to find a quality piano for him on campus. So he'll be doing that in Denver, Colorado, with the Joker and Jamal Murray and making sweet music. You like that one?
Yes, nicely done.
He can certainly basically score from a variety of ways. He got better and better throughout the course of the Pac-12 season. Extremely high character individual. Just a great moment there for the Zeke Naji family.
Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, Brendan. Great finisher at the rim. He's shown some ability to shoot as well, not necessarily a three-point threat yet, but potentially Mason Plumlee's replacement as a backup big in Denver.
Well, the thing is, yeah, he hasn't shown the ability to shoot, but when you watch him play, you know that that type of ability is there. You think that in the future he'll be able to add that into his game. So when you look at the fact that the guy can score the basketball already, and he's going to be able to add the three-point shot to his game probably rather easily, he's a good fit because you put him in, whether he's backing up the Joker or playing with the Joker, he can create space so he can slash to the basket and the Joker can find him.
All right. Zeke Nagy off the board at number 22. That was Denver's pick, and so the New York Knicks are back on the clock with pick number 23. We'll have that when we come back. It's NBA Draft Night 2020.
What's up, Open Gym? What you got to say, bro? Open Gym, talk to me. Talk to me, Open Gym. We here, man. Hey, what's good? I don't know what I'm talking about, but remember those days? I was running through the streets of Charlotte, singing the national anthem, the Canadian national anthem. You know what I'm talking about. We here. We did it. It's a chance. Let's get it. I better see you on Open Gym too.
Did you know you can buy life insurance in under 60 seconds right from your phone? Download the Goose app today and get up to $50,000 of coverage for as low as $5 a month. No agent, no medical, and Goose guarantees acceptance.
Sign up now and get an instant $10 credit.
The North, a movement of millions. This is where the outsiders become icons, where unity is defined by diversity. This is hustle, championship DNA. Here, pride don't shed. The proud, the true, the defiant. Got many faces. Which North are you?
This Halloween, the infection has spread. You are now in a state of survival. Fight with fearless heroes against the zombie apocalypse. State of Survival. Download now for free.
In just over a month's time, the NBA is back. Watch the start of the 2021 NBA season during Kia NBA Tip-Off beginning on December 22nd on TNT. Brought to you by the K5 from Kia, the official automotive partner of the NBA. Short while ago, Stephanie Reddy with pick number 1.
Congratulations, Anthony Edwards, the number 1 overall pick. Some expected it, but for you, what were the emotions when it was finally official?
To be honest, I'm not a big crier, but I was just filled with joy and excitement just from my mother and grandma being next to me, and my family had was full effect. They had all the emotions in the world, but I was just happy, man, just to be there with my grandmother and mother next to me. I was just happy and blessed beyond measures to be in this situation.
That is completely understandable, and in fact, I wanted to ask you about that in case any of our viewers were not aware of your story. You tragically lost your mother and grandmother within months of each other. You were close with both of them. How did you honor them and keep them with you today?
As you see now, I'm always smiling. So like that's how I honor them the most. I mean, like, just keep a smile on my face, and I feel like they're gonna be happy with whatever decision I make and whatever comes at me, because no matter what, I'm always happy.
I love that. And you are doing a terrific job at that, because every interview I see, you are certainly smiling. So keep that up.
Right.
You know where you'll be playing. You know who you'll be playing with, at least in this moment. Are you excited about the potential of you and Cat Towns going to town, if you will?
Man, I'm more than excited. I'm ready to get to work. They're not gonna do nothing but push me and make me a better player on and off the court. So I'm just ready to get there and see how they work, so I can, take my work to the next level.
Anthony Edwards there. The number 23 pick is owned by the New York Knicks. Looks like they're going to go with Leandro Balmaro from Argentina. Played in Spain last season. Tom Penn, if you're with us, is Tom with us?
I'm with you.
There's Tom. Sorry, I couldn't see in all the boxes I have in front of me here. Let's talk about the Knicks and what they're doing as their future moves forward. Obi Toppin with the number 8 pick tonight. They've got a ton of cap room moving forward. There are rumors about them being a possible landing spot for Russell Westbrook because they could take on that salary. But they may also be waiting for the summer of 2021 when there are more free agent options available.
The key thing right now is to add talent. Add as much talent as possible wherever they can do it, and avoid taking crappy contracts. All right. So
is that an industry term?
That is it. That's an industry term. It's a technical term. But you don't want to junk up their cap space or their roster with giant cap logs. That was Paul Allen's word for it was cap logs. It just sort of sits on your cap and weighs things down. So if they can stay away from that and just add talent, do it here at the 23rd pick. We already talked about what they got with Obi Toppin. I think that's a winner no matter how you cut it. So add talent, then make smart trades, add talent. You're not going to be very good, but let the young talent emerge. See if greatness emerges, and keep your powder dry. Stay available to be strategic and to make the right move at the right time. That's more of a game-changing mood. It might be at the next trade deadline. It might be a year from now, or not a year, but next offseason. Sometime they can make a transitional move. They just got to wait and be patient and add talent with every single transaction.
It was easy to connect the dots with Westbrook because they're just craving a star in New York. He's a game changer, obviously. I know there are differing opinions on Westbrook and what he can do in the playoffs, but it had to be tempting for the Knicks to at least consider it. And maybe still is.
They may still, because they've got the cap space. You know, this whole thing with Westbrook, everybody's killing him like he's, a contract you don't want. I agree with what Kenny Smith said earlier. This guy can flat out come in and make a major difference. So I don't dislike a Westbrook move for New York necessarily. Chris Paul, they said the same thing last year. Oh, they'll never move his contract. They'll never move his contract. Look what happened. Chris Paul goes, plays well, and all of a sudden he's wanted in Phoenix. So Russell Westbrook is not a wasted cap space. He's a big number, right? $44 million a year for 3 years. It's clearly a big number, but he's still a big talent. So I don't hate that one for the Knicks the way I would. That'd be a lot better than getting 3 players at $15 million each who just kind of can't really play that well and clog up your cap. I'd much rather go after a Westbrook where at least you've got somebody who's going to put points on the board and probably be happy to be there.
Yeah, one thing I figured out covering this league for a while now is that there is no contract that is untradeable, as much as it might seem so. And now, Tom, we're hearing via reporting from Shams Charania and others that the Knicks are going to trade that number 23 pick, Leandro Bolmaro, the Argentine, to Minnesota for picks number 25 and number 33. So it looks like they're stockpiling picks moving forward.
And that's exactly, look, it's 2 more chances to add talent. The player that they would have taken at 23, they must be certain they're going to be able to get at 25. So why wouldn't you slide back 2 spots, get the player you want? We'll find out shortly who that is at 25. And then you pick up 33. And we can put that list up of second-round talents, the Gilbert Arenas list it used to be, right? These guys that just explode onto the scene, and everybody's shocked because they fell as low as they did. So that early second round is when you can really get players to make a major difference.
Look at guys like Nikola Jokic in the playoffs this past season who were second-round picks. So those 2 picks to New York as Bolmaro goes to the Detroit Pistons. This is not good news from our Chris Haynes. Fear is Golden State Warriors star Klay Thompson has suffered a significant Achilles injury, and MRI is scheduled for tomorrow morning. But Smitty, you know as well as I know, if you're around the game, when there's a significant Achilles injury, and I don't want to speculate, but when it's a torn Achilles, there's no guessing at that. They do the MRI to confirm what they already know. This is not good news.
Yeah, I mean, no injury is good news, right, Matt? But when you hear, Achilles, that's that one injury. When you look at players around all sports, that's the one that you just fear because, back in the day it was automatically a year. And obviously, for Klay Thompson coming off an ACL, that just makes his rehab just that much tougher. Hopefully he gets some good news. The severity of this Achilles But like you said, it's still an Achilles injury. I hope it's not a tear. But for a Klay Thompson, I mean, you just feel for him because you know how hard he worked to come off the ACL. You know how hard he wants to compete. Just watching when he was injured in that finals, 2 years ago, where he wanted 2 seasons ago, where he even tried to come back and play. This is going to be a tough field battle, but that's one player who's tough-minded. When you have a guy that tough-minded, you're just wishing for the best, and hopefully, and we will see Klay Thompson again come back and be in that the form we hope to get a chance to see him again.
Brendan, your reaction? Again, we don't know how severe an injury it is, but it sounds like it's an Achilles injury for Klay Thompson tonight.
I'm just sad to see that he's having to go through this because Klay obviously suffers the ACL injury in the finals and he misses all of last season. And then he's working hard, he's working diligently, he's ready to come back. He's finally ready to show everybody that he's back and Golden State is ready to contend again. And now he has to deal with a serious injury, the Achilles injury. That's, like Smitty just said, that's going to take a year also. So it can get a little bit tedious in the rehab process. Sometimes you can have some self-doubt. But prayers going out to Klay Thompson and the Thompson family, and he will be able to overcome this, and he'll be back on the court at some time, and I'm sure he'll be better than ever.
Well, and for the Warriors, obviously they lose a lot on the court. There are significant salary cap ramifications for this moving forward as well. Remember, he signed a massive $190 million contract through 2024, and it looks like they're going to probably lose. If it's as bad as it sounds, they may well lose him for another full season here moving forward. All right, more picks coming in. Number 24, picked by the Bucks, and this is going to Denver. R.J. Hampton, who is a little bit of an international man of mystery. A lot of speed, a lot of athleticism, and Andy Katz, some question marks about his game as well.
Well, he did what a lot of other players wouldn't do, which was he didn't want to go to college, and that's fine. Didn't choose the G League route. Said, you know what? Kind of like LaMelo Ball, I'm going to challenge myself internationally. Went down under, played in New Zealand, and there's a whole maturation process when you got to do something like that. And so did he go much lower than he would have had he gone to college basketball when he was a top 5 player coming out of high school? Maybe. But ultimately, if this is the right fit and ends up in Denver, we'll couch that right now. Then, is he playing behind Jamal Murray and learning from him and allowing to still build that confidence as he becomes more of a professional?
Enticing athleticism, some nagging questions. And Brendan, like LaMelo Ball, another small sample size. If you're looking at him over a 15-game pro career so far, what are you looking for out of R.J. Hampton?
Well, you're just looking to see, is he consistent with his work ethic? Because he's so young, he's developing, playing against grown men overseas. Hey, is he professional every day? Is he continuing to get better? You know the skill set is there. The guy with the top 5 talent coming out of high school, went overseas. Maybe that, like Andy said, maybe that did cost him a little bit in the draft process. But the athletic standpoint is there. He played against grown men. You're just willing to see, hey, is he willing to do the things to get better and better every day? And Denver also has been a franchise that has done a great job developing talent. So I think that he went to the right spot.
All right, number 25 is next. It's Oklahoma City's pick, but going to the New York Knicks because of the trade we just told you about a short time ago. And it is the SEC Player of the Year, Emmanuel Quickley, who shot just under 43% from three-point range as a sophomore at Kentucky. Maybe not the playmaker Smitty you'd want at his size, but that shooting number certainly stands out.
Yeah, he flat out can shoot the basketball, and he puts pressure on you when he has the basketball. He makes decisions quickly, has great speed, and what I love about him, when he catches it, he is going downhill to score the basketball, absorbs bumps, but then also he can step back and knock down shots without the basketball. So getting a chance to have him on your team, he's a talent, as we can see when you win the SEC Player of the Year. He can score the basketball a little bit small in size, but you don't have to be that big right now at that guard position in the NBA. He competes at a high level and he defends, so I liked him in college, and also the combination of him and Maxey, he can come out and play because he has that one skill. He can flat out shoot the basketball.
Andy, where were scouts on Emmanuel Quickley as a pro?
Well, they weren't in the first round. I mean, this is a classic Sam Presti pick here that obviously is going to New York in this trade, but still, being made for New York based on all the trades that have been moving around here. So I think Tom Thibodeau would love this pick because he's a player that worked hard to get to this position. And if we can have an anomaly with Kentucky, there's a surprise Kentucky first-round pick that almost never happens under John Calipari because Emmanuel Quickley was not that this is like polling in the election. There were no mock drafts, I don't think, that I saw that had Quickley going this high in the first round. So, once again, credit to him to get himself in this position. He was not the preseason SEC Player of the Year last year, earned it, and to go play for someone like Tom Thibodeau, this is great. I think it's a great find for them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think I saw him anywhere in the first round in the various projections that I saw. But you know what? That's why we play out the draft, because the GMs, the executives, they don't have to adhere to your mock drafts. They mock your mock drafts, Andy. Back with more. The Celtics on the clock next. Number 26. A lot of young men learning their futures in the NBA, and better pack a bag because they got to get to work like next week.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new, durable, non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick.
It is incredible.
Non-stick really means non-stick.
And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil, just doesn't stick. Fire flambe or perfectly seared filet, just like the pros. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction. Then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection. And it just doesn't stick. Plus it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe.
I've never seen anything that tough.
This is the best pan I have ever used.
Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all at an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-693-9660 or go to buygranitestone.ca. That's 1-800-693-9660 or go to buygranitestone.ca.
My Noom story, well, the thought of giving things up to keep weight off, not a chance. But Noom taught me a different way to think about healthy living, with psychology. Noom helped me add healthy habits that easily fit around work and the kids, and I'm still enjoying the foods I love. I've got a whole new positive outlook, and I've lost 28 pounds. Noom, change your habits, change for good. Visit Noom.com to start your journey.
Boston is going to zone up here on the side out of bounds. They're going to be switching everything back here. Marcus Smart's going to stay up high, taking anybody coming to the ball.
Raptors .5. They can catch and shoot. Series on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes! OG Anunoby at the buzzer!
These Boston Celtics, they're a confident bunch. They really feel that they can be the best team in the East.
Tatum letting go for an extra beat, and he banks it in. Miraculous shot. Jason Tatum fears no man right now. Let's go! The first ever sweep between these two squads. Step back, Walker. We've seen that before. Celtics have the champs down 0-2. Here he's on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes!
These teams are really battling. This is what it's all about.
The Boston Celtics hang on to win Game 7. Now we're set up Miami and Boston. Here's Tatum, runs, and throws it down. Their stars playing like stars. Tatum out front, got downhill. Couldn't punch it. Bam says, get it out of here.
Boston Celtics, a terrific young team, will be disappointed falling short of making the NBA Finals. But you expect the Celtics to be in the mix for quite some time.
Celtics came 2 wins shy of the NBA Finals and have 3 picks here in the first round for the second straight year. The second of those they just spent on Peyton Pritchard, a decorated competitive point guard who won't even have to change his shoes. He goes from Oregon Ducks green to Celtics green across the country. Andy Katz, what do we need to know about the Pac-12 Player of the Year?
I absolutely love this pick for the Boston Celtics of Peyton Pritchard. First of all, know this. Danny Ainge, who I've seen countless times in my travels on the West Coast, obviously from Utah and spent many time played at BYU, lived in Oregon. So he makes sure that he gets out to the West Coast a ton. And Peyton Pritchard was scouted extensively. He is a tremendous point guard who, by the way, under Dana Altman, who runs Oregon a bit like a pro franchise, maybe CBA, old CBA, a lot of revolving door, and does very well with it. But he's played with, I think it's over 30 players in his 4 years at Oregon. So he's used to just different players he's got to feed. Such a smart, high basketball IQ point guard. I think he comes in right behind Kemba Walker. Brad Stevens will love him as a second point guard in that second group in that rotation. He will be a great facilitator, and he makes big shots, had multiple big shots last season.
First team All-American, Brendan, and if he were 2 inches taller, you're talking about a lottery pick. That's the big question is size and maybe some lateral quickness for Peyton Pritchard as he heads to the NBA.
Yeah, doesn't have the size, doesn't really have the lateral quickness, but when you ask anybody about Peyton Pritchard, the one thing that constantly comes up is winner. And so when you have a guy that's a winner, you can make the rest fit. And I think this is a very good pick. And you can never have too many guys that just know how to win and know how to compete and do things the right way on your team. Danny Ainge getting it right once again.
Yeah, Smitty, a high-usage player who shot better than 41% from 3, and not just better than 41% from three-point range, from way into three-point range, because he can launch it out there 5-10 feet beyond the college line.
Yeah, you're totally right, Matt. And you watched him his first 3 years. He was that prototypical point guard. But then you saw last year, he still had those attributes. But then he was asked to score the basketball, averaged 20 points. What I loved about him, he competed and he understands situation. And like you said, he increased his range so much. He's tough. You know, all of us are saying the same thing. Danny hit a home run because he fits the Boston Celtics, and I think is what they need.
Tom, put yourself in Danny Ainge's shoes here tonight. Second straight year, he's got 3 first-round draft picks. One of them was Matisse Thybulle, who wound up in Philadelphia last year. They've also got the Gordon Hayward situation. As folks at home may be aware, they extended the deadline for him to opt in or out of his $30 million option for next season. What are the Celtics' goals here tonight and over the next 24 hours?
Well, they got to be checking them off. They've added Nesmith, who I think is the best shooter in the draft, and now Pritchard, who's one of the best competitive talents, just raw got it. And it goes way back, guys. When I was in Portland with the Trailblazers at the end of my time there, USA Basketball was in for the big game where they played the World League in the Nike Hoop Summit. And the team was scrimmaging the U.S. Senior All-Stars, ready to take on the world. And they had a scrimmage with a bunch of kids from Portland. And this little kid just tore them up. And it was Peyton Pritchard. I think he was in 8th grade or a freshman in high school. And he just gave it to the Senior All-Stars from around the country. So he's done that at every step of his career, and it's going to be really interesting. He goes on this Celtics team. They add like firepower from the guard position that can help. So it's going to be very competitive in their training camp, which is what, in about 6 hours, the way this thing works. But it's going to be fun to see. He will bring it from moment one.
Peyton Pritchard to the Boston Celtics again. They also have the 30th and final pick of the first round. First, though, it's the Utah Jazz who have made their selection with the number 27 pick. Udoka Azubuike out of Kansas. Old school big fella, and potentially, Brendan, Rudy Gobert's replacement. He's a free agent next summer, 2021.
Man, look at that shooting percentage, Smitty, 75%. That tells you he's getting his business done in the lane. Azubuike is somebody that knows where his bread is buttered. He plays big. He likes to take up space in the lane. Old school big, likes to finish inside with the jump hook. But what really impressed me the most about Azubuike was that he took the time to really improve his body from the previous season until this season. When I turned the TV on, I didn't even realize that was the first. I was like, yo, who's the new kid Kansas guy? And then they said his name. I was like, wow, Azubuike looks like he's lost like 25 pounds. He was cut up, he was lean, he was more explosive, more athletic, very good shot blocker. He does all his business in the paint. He's an old school big. He doesn't come out of the paint. He's not going to be playing high and pick and rolls. He's not going to be shooting the three. But I do think he can give Utah some good backup center minutes behind Rudy Gobert.
Another pick with Nigeria ties, Nigerian-born like Precious Achiuwa, and he shot 64% out of post-ups last season at Kansas. And Smitty, I know a lot of teams don't want to post up necessarily, but 64% makes the analytics kind of work.
Yeah, it does. And he's relentless on the glass. That's the one thing is, yes, in this age, you have the bigs. You want them to be versatile. But he's an old school throwback. He's going to rebound the basketball. He's going to block shots. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can win games with a guy that can defend the paint. Also, when he catches, understands his role. He's kind of like Rudy Gobert. Obviously, Rudy is a little bit longer, has some range to be able to guard. But this kid can really block shots, and he can rebound, and he has a tremendous, I think, 7'7" wingspan to go along with his size. And Brendan said it best. He has worked on his body. I think that's definitely going to help him, and he's a rim runner that's going to help.
Yeah, not much longer, because that 7'7" wingspan was the longest recorded at the Combine. Limited number of players there, but that's a lot. That's big.
Well, and I just could add real quickly that he would have been in the draft probably a year or two earlier, but injuries prevented that. And he worked on his craft. He became even a better offensive threat. Remember, 2 seasons ago, he was the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. Kansas actually had him back-to-back with Matisse Thybulle was. Last year, he was a separate Defensive Player of the Year award with Marcus Garrett. They kind of split it. But Udoka also has tremendous character. You mentioned he's from Nigeria, and one of my favorite Final Four memories, a couple years ago when Kansas was in the Final Four, and his mother saw him play for the first time. She came from Nigeria to the Final Four. He appreciates his roots. He wants to do well for his home country, and he is just so gratified that he's got this opportunity, and he really did earn it.
Good for him, and he's headed to Utah, and the Utah Jazz with the number 27 pick. We'll take a break and continue our coverage as the first round gets set to wrap up. Round number 2 just around the bend.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new, durable, non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick.
It is incredible.
Non-stick really means non-stick.
And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil, just doesn't stick. Fire flambe or perfectly seared filet, just like the pros. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction. then coated 3 times with our durable granite stone finish. And because granite stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection. And it just doesn't stick. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe.
I've never seen anything that tough.
This is the best pan I have ever used.
Call or go online to get your granite stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a granite stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all at an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-693-9660 or go to buygranitestone.ca. That's 1-800-693-9660 or go to buygranitestone.ca.
A movement of millions. This is where the outsiders become icons. Where unity is defined by diversity. This is hustle. Championship DNA. Here, pride don't shed. The proud, the true, the defiant. Got many faces. Which north are you?
Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson, and then he hit the 3. Wow.
The Lakers have the number 28 pick that was traded to Oklahoma City along with Danny Green for Dennis Schroeder, and it is used on Jaden McDaniels. And Smitty, this is boom or bust. Maybe, in the opinion of some evaluators, maybe the best talent in the draft, if you can believe that.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of high school, Matt, he was easy a top 10 player. When you look at it, McDonald's All-American, got a chance to go to Washington. You can see the upside in the talent. Just young, and it takes some guys a little bit longer to develop. But talent-wise, coming out of high school, and even seeing him in college, there was flashes where the talent you can see he has a chance to go to the next level and be productive. But then also you got a chance where he just wasn't consistent enough. But talent-wise, the talent is there, Matt.
Well, Andy Katz, you know, by all accounts, this is not a bad kid. There aren't any problems with him in terms of the interviews and whatnot, but there are clearly some maturity issues. He led the Pac-12 in turnovers and fouls. He fouled out 8 times during the season, picked up 6 technical fouls during the season as well. Some scouts will tell you, you know, he has a tendency to float and disappear, but you watch him on tape, and there are times with that frame, when he's operating in the mid-range, that he looks a little Kevin Durant-ish.
Yeah, look, the talent is there, but it always didn't mesh at Washington. Now, Washington critics or promoters will tell you that because Quaddy Green was ineligible, that's what sent their season south last year. But I don't think it was Isaiah Stewart. For whatever reason, Jaden McDaniels just had this roller coaster, and maybe that's not fair. Maybe he had a more normal freshman season that freshmen should have, that was a little up and down. Maybe we put too much pressure on these freshmen. But the talent was always there. They always knew that he was likely going to be a one and done. They just didn't win with him and Stewart together. So obviously the hope is now, as a professional, he's got the good genes. Clearly it's within the family that might be a better situation for him.
His brother Jalen was a second-round pick by Charlotte last year and played 16 games as a rookie last season. That puts the Toronto Raptors on the clock at number 29. And Tom, they've got some interesting questions facing them in this shortened offseason. The biggest one you can't address, and that's where they'll be playing this season because of travel restrictions in Canada. While I don't know, the way things look right now, it's not going to be in Toronto. They're going to figure out a place to play. Aside from that, they've got the Fred VanVleet free agency question. Serge Ibaka's a free agent as well. Marc Gasol is apparently headed back to Spain to finish out his career. So what's on the to-do list for Masai Ujiri?
This is a tough one. They've ridden this group to the success that they've had. They sort of got a bonus year out of this group. After Kawhi left, we all sort of figured it was over. But they had such a phenomenal year last year. You know, they got to keep Van Vliet because he's young, but he's probably the top free agent out there that could theoretically be gettable. And then you got Ibaka and Gasol, who, yeah, they're at the end or towards the end, but very serviceable, important parts of that rotation and part of the identity of that team. So you're in a makeover, not a makeover situation, but how do you keep it going? This is where you slide back to the middle if you're not careful, because they don't have monstrous cap space or anything like that to reinvent themselves. They've got 3 core pieces up for free agency, which begins very shortly. And then you're sitting on the 29th pick, and how excited are you about whatever you're going to get here? Not very, I can assure you. So there's a lot of work to do and decisions to be made. They're a big, big market team where money doesn't really matter. And then you're right. Unlike every other team in the league, they have this question as to where in the heck will they be playing and what will this season look like and how long can they do it? And that level of disruption will be unlike any other team in the league, because they may very well be, you know, sitting in Buffalo playing home games there. I don't know where they're going to go.
Yeah, we have no idea at this point because of Canada's COVID travel restrictions. Reportedly, they have considered Nashville. Kansas City has a beautiful arena there. Tampa, Newark, some other sites as well. We'll have to figure that out. We do know who they've selected with the number 29 pick in the first round. It's Malachi Flynn, smallish but skilled shot-creating point guard out of San Diego State. He spent 1 year there after transferring from Washington State, and he wound up an All-America and the Mountain West Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he really had an outstanding career in a league that got better with Utah State and Sam Merrill, who was an outstanding player for there. But Malachi Flynn was a huge get for San Diego State, coming from Washington State when there was a coaching change. Very heady point guard. You know, I don't know. I'd be interested to see what Brennan and Smitty and Tom think on this. You just talked about Fred VanVleet. You know, does drafting a point guard affect that in any way with the VanVleet? You know, and you got Lowry. I mean, I don't know if this affects what the Raptors may be thinking.
Well, it's a good question, Brendan. We'll throw it to you. You know, he's listed at 6'1". At the college level, at least, he could play either guard. That size, at least traditionally, would suggest he's more of a point guard. But Toronto was already playing with a small backcourt.
Yeah, Toronto was definitely already playing with a small backcourt. This might be an indication that they feel maybe VanVleet won't be there. I don't know. Or maybe they think in the future Kyle Lowry won't be there in a year or so. But at the end of the day, I think he kind of fits with their identity, their mold. This kid is known to be a good on-ball defender, and he makes good decisions in the pick and roll on the other end. That's what the NBA is all about. The NBA is all about the pick and roll right now. So if you have a kid that can defend the pick and roll and make smart decisions within the pick and roll, or you can work around any other deficiencies that he has.
Yeah, Brendan, I totally agree. When you look at him, yes, he's 6'1", but he's a two-way player. He can score the basketball, but also he's a willing and on-ball defender, like you said. And then he's a guy that can run the point guard. It fits right in with the Toronto Raptors. So I look at this pick as, yes, he can play, but it's also insurance for the Toronto Raptors case they lose to Fred VanVleet. And then he can learn under Kyle Lowry, who, as we know, still has it, but is getting a little bit older.
Led the Mountain West in assists, steals, and assist-to-turnover ratio last season with San Diego State. Malachi Flynn off to the Toronto Raptors. The number 30 pick belongs to the Boston Celtics, and they are moving it, or so we're told, to the Memphis Grizzlies. So Boston will only pick twice in the first round rather than 3 times. Memphis did not have a first-round pick. And Smitty, obviously the Grizzlies are trying to build around that guy, John Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr., who had torn meniscus in his left knee. You know, they made it to the play-in situation in the bubble. Great experience for them and a team up and coming, but still needs a few pieces.
Yeah, they do, but I like this team. I thought Taylor Jenkins did an excellent job last year. First year, obviously, disrupted because of COVID, but then you saw them in a bubble. They were playing well. John Morant had a chance. Jaren Jackson gets injured. But I look at what they have in place. They have a big and they have a small in John Morant and Jaren Jackson. And they have all the other young pieces, the wing guys that defend and can shoot it. Obviously, this team, I think in a couple years, we could be talking about them making some big noise in the playoffs.
Dylan Brooks had a good season as well for them. Brendan, what should the Grizzlies be looking for? Or does it even matter at this point in their development position-wise? Is it a best player available situation, or should they be looking for something specific?
They're probably looking for the best player available, but at the same time, I'd like to see them get something on the wing, a two-way player. You can never have too many two-way players that are on the wing. Think about what this game is about. You're going to have to try to stop a LeBron James, a James Harden, a Kevin Durant. So guys that can hit shots, but then at the same time can slow other guys down from hitting shots are always valuable. So if there's a two-way player out there that has some upside and maybe some size to him, that's where I'd like to see Memphis go.
I think you just described TCU's Desmond Bain, who was the pick at number 30, 6'6", a scorer as well, who can play on the wing alongside John Morant. You see the numbers there on him, average just under 17 points per game. Look at the three-point percentage, guys, 44%. You think John Morant will appreciate that?
Well, let me tell you, Brendan Haywood's going to be a GM in this league because they picked the guy that we was talking about, and he fits the mold. I talked about him yesterday that I love him as a sleeper because he can score and he's tough. He can create his own shot, but he also can shoot off when you talk the spot up playing off John Morant. And he's tough, he's physical. So you have two guys like that in Dillon Brooks and Bain. He fits this Memphis Grizzly, and I'm looking to be working for Brendan Haywood one day.
First team All Big 12, led the Frogs in scoring, assists, second in rebounding as well. Really smooth scorer, and as you saw by the numbers, Andy, an elite shooter.
Yeah, he did a really great job for Jamie Dixon at TCU, and he's the kind of player that nationally just got no pub. Didn't get a lot of pub, obviously, in the Big 12, overshadowed by Jared Butler or Devon Dotson. He's still on the board, by the way, and Tyrese Halliburton from Iowa State, and yet held his own.